Hi, everybody. Welcome to Infinite Horizon Season 2. Uh, we are, we're back. Um,
Ah!
ah,
Ah!
uh, everybody's just
All of
screaming.
those.
They're just screaming all the time.
All of those.
um, well, hello, everyone. It's so good to be back. Few things before we get started. Uh, First of um, all of you will have probably noticed that we have not been joined by Henry. Um, Unfortunately, for the foreseeable future, Henry will not be joining us, which is very sad for all of us. Um, but we are definitely excited to be here and back, and we are going to make the best of this dang thing because it's there's so many cool things, y'all. So many like cool plans that we have. So I'm very excited for that. Um, I feel like I was gonna transition naturally from that into something else, but that went away. Um, but yeah. So a few things. First of all, welcome to those of you who are maybe joining us for the first time for Infinite Horizon, or maybe the first time live. Um,
Howdy.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome.
I hope you enjoyed the recap, or rewatching the recap, as the case may be. Um, so yeah, a few things to go over just for the week. We will be doing Ramblemancy this week on Friday. Um, we are going to be talking about just sort of Halloween, some of our favorite. Oh my god,
So it
I
begins.
forgot. I forgot what happens. I forgot what happens. Heart of Handprints, thank you so much for gifting those subs. Welcome everybody. Enjoy your scrolls. Um, or books. Um, yep, it begins. But here's the
Season
thing.
2.
Here's the thing. The nice thing is that Caitlin turned off the alert sounds, and I have not turned them back on yet. So
Oh,
it's
sorry,
all
everybody.
good.
You don't get your jingles because I get too distracted when it's jamming and running to keep the loop. I had to turn the sounds off.
Yeah.
By the combined effort of our ADHD, they have not been turned back on.
Correct. I'm going to continue through our announcements. Anyway, Ramblemancy, we will be talking about Halloween, like our favorites and Halloween, sharing some of our favorite Halloween stories from our favorite times going out, doing whatever we do, talking about the whole thing. You know, it's basically the fall favorites episode, but specifically Halloween. It's going to be a lot of fun. There may be a late start to Ramblemancy on Friday because earlier that day I will be on Friends Who Roll Dice playing Monster of the Week for their month-long charity event. It's the last one shot because it's the last Friday of the month. So yeah, so it'll be so fun. Like the cast and I have been talking about our characters, and I'm very excited for y'all to see them. Um, but yeah, uh, mm, I think that's the majority of it for right now. I think that's what we've got. Like literally, this Infinite Horizon tonight. This was like where we were planning up until, and nothing happens beyond this. Like tonight. That's tonight. Yeah, that's all we
Nothing
got.
beyond the infinite horizon.
Nothing beyond the.
Sorry.
Um,
I can go now. We
And
can end the
that's the
episode.
stream. We'll see you
Everything's
guys
done
next
now.
week for season 3.
Oh wow.
My bad, guys. My bad.
Okay, well, I think that might be it for our beginning stuff. Am I wrong about that? I don't. Okay, I think we're good. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Shout out
For
to
the
World Builders. Y'all are cool. Thanks,
Oh
patrons.
yeah. Oh, that's very important.
Oh,
A
yeah.
good amount of tonight's episode
Some
is
cool
brought to
shit.
you by the world building Patreons because you'll see when we get into it. But they help do some world building for us, and I am very excited for all of you to see it. So, with that, I don't think that there's anything else. So let's go ahead and, for the first time in quite some time, let's get into tonight's episode of Infinite Horizon.
say this is the end. We're surrounded, but we won't give in. No. Who will save us? Who will save us? Sometimes you gotta let go. Leave it up to the hero. Who will save us? Who will save us? When the truth's in the shadows. All hail to the heroes. They're gonna save us. Yeah, save us. Yeah, save us today.
And welcome back.
Don't be suspicious.
Everything's fine. Nothing weird
that's-
happens in between. We just kind of sit here and just
Deadpan.
the whole
I'm-
time.
Get into character for a minute and 4 seconds or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
No shenanigans.
Listen, tonight I'm Mason. I'm always suspicious to everyone.
Yeah.
It's my
Completely fair.
default.
All right. Believe you all 100%. Well, you know.
Trustworthy folk.
Last season on Infinite Horizon, our story began with a group of regular people across the entirety of the known galaxy, waking up on a crashing ship with abilities that they did not have when they went in, and no memory of how they'd gotten there. Through the course of their struggles to understand what had happened to them, they found themselves wrapped up in the resistance and fighting against the mega corporations that fight to take over the galaxy. Corporations which they uncovered are behind various atrocities throughout the known galaxy, including but not limited to kidnapping a bunch of people like themselves, altering them in some way with the and conditioning them with the ultimate aim of perhaps selling them to the highest bidder as soldiers, as mercenaries, bodyguards. All of this led them to joining up with the resistance, a movement that was sort of scattered at the beginning of last season, a movement that really actually wasn't a movement in itself, but rather a group of isolated cells, all sort of being vaguely coordinated by one hacker named Wire, who previously had worked for Silverbreak Technologies as an administrative assistant on this very project. During all of this, the crew learned a lot about each other. They learned a lot about their own abilities and put those abilities to use. At the end of last season, we found they had rescued a whole new crop of supers who were being transported across the galaxy, probably to be conditioned to remove the part of themselves that made them who they were, and it removed the options of choice. They were rescued and brought into the fold of the resistance. Wire approached Peach about forming the resistance into a more cohesive movement. The first strikes had been dealt, and there was no going back. We come now to the beginning of this season of Infinite Horizon. A war broke out at the end of the last season and has been raging across the galaxy. For the time being, it's been a lot of spear rattling and testing borders between the Commonwealth and the Ascendancy. Still no word yet, no confirmation, no official confirmation on what started the war, although reports have started coming in that the Ascendancy has accused the United Systems Commonwealth of breaking the old treaty, encroaching upon territories that were protected. They have been no more specific than that in their claims. And to make matters more confounding, the United Systems Commonwealth has not denied the claims. But again, nothing more specific is known at this time. It's almost as if the information is being intentionally withheld somehow. Somewhere along the line, somebody is working hard to make sure that people don't know what's happening. A situation that is only complicated by the fact that the corporations, the megacorps, seem to be fully involved in both sides. A fact which has not escaped the notice of some. The resistance itself has begun calling in the cells from various parts of the galaxy, consolidating their power base, many of them meeting for the first time in person, some being informed for the first time that there were others at all. It's a time of chaos and confusion across the galaxy. But that's not where we start our story tonight. We begin. Let me set this up. We begin in a hallway, darkened, possibly in an old office building. Difficult to determine exactly the usage of it from the hallway itself. But there are doors. It's clear that there are doors lining the sides. All the rooms are dark, except one. Peach, you move through this darkened hallway, your footsteps echoing very slightly through the empty building, moving towards that one lit room. As you approach, you step outside of it. You stand right in front, and you can see the door is sort of an older style, a wooden door with a sort of like frosty glass pane, taking up the majority of the top half of it. As you step up to it, through that sort of frosted glass, you can see movement, and even from out here, you can hear sort of a shuffling sound, the sound of something heavy being picked up and moved across the room, sound of papers shuffling, clicks, beeps, and whirs coming from inside, the sound of computer terminals working through search algorithms. You put your hand on the doorknob, and as you turn it, you look up and see words on the frosted glass pane. The words read, Mason Frey, private investigator. You open that door and you step in. The room is lit by a single light fixture hanging from the ceiling, swinging slightly. It appears to be some sort of office. As you look around, you can see a desk and a chair covered in file folders that are just sort of scattered around it. A desk light that casts an ugly orange light onto the papers themselves, scattered across it. The chair itself stacked with boxes full of more files. As you look towards one end of the room, you can see on one side, opposite the desk, you can see where there are shelves of filing cabinets and a computer terminal that is on its screen. It is, as you suspected, running through search algorithms. You can see as it opens files and then tosses them aside, opens files, tosses them aside in a repeating pattern. But the strangest part about the room is in the far corner where you can see a pile of boxes. An enormous mountain of file folders and just all of these. They look like case files. The mountain goes up far beyond what you even see the bounds of the room's ceiling would even be able to contain logically, but it continues up. And as you look up, following that mountain up, you can see the movement of a single figure. You recognize Mason as he is standing on a platform of these boxes on this mountain, opening the box, going through the file. And as you notice him, you can hear him just sort of muttering under his breath, it's here, I know it's here. It's gotta be here somewhere. Just gotta solve the case. It's gotta be here. Just sort of going through all of these. You watch him for a few minutes as he searches through files, not meticulously, as you know Mason to be, but frantically almost, growing more so by the second. After a few moments, you see him toss one of the boxes aside, which sort of falls down, tumbling down, spilling papers and folders across the mountain and the floor, and he begins climbing once again, climbs up. And as he does, you can see the ceiling gets even further away from him. The mountain climbs. The mountain grows. Mason seems not to notice. It's at this point that you notice something else. You've seen this before. You've seen this dream of Mason's many times. It's a recurring dream that he has. One of his many. But something's different this time, and you can't quite place it. You kind of turn, feeling like almost like a breeze on the base of your neck as you turn, and just as you turn, you can just barely. It's almost like you catch the flicker of movement out of the corner of your eye, shifting just out of sight as you turn. Having seen that, you begin to feel a presence. There's somebody else here. There's never somebody else here. As you turn to face the hallway once again, the way you came in, the door, you can see as you turn, you catch it just as you turn around that the door is almost slowly swinging shut, almost of its own accord. You turn back one more time to look at Mason as he climbs, seeing him unchanged in the same state, just repeating, it's gotta be here. Just gotta solve the case. One more box. And he just keeps going.
Probably how all this feels these days, huh?
You say that and your voice sort of echoes out. You actually watch as Mason stops for a moment and kind of looks over his shoulder for the first time, looking down. And for a moment you think that he's seen you this time. But he just sort of looks down at the mountain, shakes his head, and looks up and says, gotta solve the case. And just keeps going. As you turn back around,
I was gonna say, if I turn around, is Vic standing there, or?
No.
He's the only other one that could be in the dream, right?
Yeah. But as you turn, you see the door was barely open. It was sort of closing of its own accord when you turned around, but now that you turn, it's wide open. The door is wide open. And you suddenly get, your body just sort of erupts in goosebumps as you just sort of get this sense that somebody is there and they are close. It's almost like you feel them next to you, and as you turn to look, and you wake.
Something's not right about that.
You awake saying those words out loud into the darkness of your room. You turn over, just sort of barely awake, and as you do, you can see the soft blue glow of your clock, and you see that you have woken about 10 minutes before your alarm was going to go off. You turn and look at that, and you just sort of shrugging, you turn over and just sort of stare at it for a moment.
Do I still feel like someone's there?
The sensation lingers, yeah. There's something lingering about it. As you lay there kind of in the dark, just sort of looking at your clock, you turn kind of looking at the room from where you're laying in your bed. And just sort of starting to kind of as you do usually when you wake up, you start going through in your mind all the things that you have happening that day, all the things that you have to do. But you stop this time because Peach, there's somebody standing at the end of your bed. There's a dark form just at the edge of your bed. Almost invisible in the darkness.
Like reflectively, I'm gonna like bring up my hands and like just like a long baseball bat has just formed, and I'm just like holding it up and kind of looking at the figure.
Yeah. It's you're looking, you can see that there's somebody standing there in the darkness. You can just make out the outline, but that's about it.
God damn it, Zaya, is this you? And I'm gonna stand up and like literally like and approach the figure with the baseball bat, like about to like fully swinging.
As you stand up from the bed, your bedside light detecting your movement just sort of slowly comes on. And as it comes on, you see that you're alone in your room.
I'm gonna close my eyes and then kind of center, take some breaths, and then reopen them.
Your bedside light has fully come on at this point, illuminating your room. You look around and it is completely empty aside from yourself.
Huh. Maybe a bit of the dream lingered. I don't. Okay, we'll add that to the list. And I'm just gonna go and start kind of walking around the apartment and like just kind of bumbling around, making
Sure.
tea or whatever until Zaya probably comes and bangs on my door.
So go ahead and tell me, what does Peach's apartment look like?
Yeah, so she's decorated as much as she could with like kind of miscellaneous stuff that's been kind of gathered. So there's also like a couch where people can come, and there's some cushion pillows. There's pretty much permanently a pillow on there for when Vix, crashes or when someone else crashes. Not that many people do, but there's always the offer. There's some plants kind of scattered around that Bina has definitely been recruited to help bring in there. There is everything kind of is mostly neat and tidy except for a kind of corner desk that's just pretty much covered in papers and notes and things. But it's a pretty neat kind of apartment with basically a full kitchen space, although it's not super outfitted because there's a general kitchen somewhere else. But
Yeah.
Lots of pinks.
Yeah. It's a pretty comfortable place for being one of the apartments on an old terraforming base that was never fully staffed. The
Wait,
people
are there windows in here, or are we underground?
No, this is not underground. This is actually
I didn't think it was.
No,
but-
this is I would say that
What floor is this?
You know what? There actually probably are windows here.
Okay.
You are sort of centrally located in the right now in the central wing of the base. You are the apartments, the executive apartments are located. I think they're located just below. They're located just below the atrium level. So yeah, you actually would have a view that looks out in the same kind of eastward direction that the atrium looks out.
Yeah. As soon as I come out of the room, I just pull the curtains back and
Mhm.
just let all the light come into the room.
Yeah, there's not much at this time. There's not a whole lot of
Yeah.
light that comes down onto the surface of this planet in general. Um, but particularly at the incredibly early hour that it is right now.
Yeah.
But you open the windows, you open the curtains, and you look out over just vast snowfields far below you as you look out kind of down from the mountain where the facility is located. It's probably, aside from the atrium itself, or possibly even ops, this is probably one of the better views from the base.
Never get tired of it.
As you look out over that, you hear the burp burp of the door chime, and then you followed up closely by the customary, and you just hear, "You waking there, princess?"
Yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming. And I'm gonna kind of like take one last look at the view. Excuse me. And then I'm gonna kind of scurry over and open the door for her.
Okay. Yeah, as the door slides open, just kind of you see standing in the doorway a Keldro woman, sort of grayish purple skin, just sort of leaning in the doorway, arms crossed. Her hair having grown out considerably over the last 5 months. She like has her like just has kept the sides shaved, but like has her hair like the top sort of braided a little bit in the back. As she just sort of leans against the doorway and wearing just like athletic gear, just saying, "Well, I'm glad I didn't have to drag you out of bed this time." And Zaya just walks right past you into the apartment without waiting for it to be invited.
Yeah, come on in. Come on in. Are you sure you don't want maybe like a cup of coffee this morning before we go?
I have-
Like some breakfast?
I have told you absolutely every single time that it's a bad idea to have coffee before a workout.
Yeah, I always just hope that it'll go okay.
Listen, you do whatever you want, but I can promise you, when I kick you in the stomach, that coffee's not going to taste as good coming back up the second time.
You make a fair point. Just humor me for a second, Zaya. Do you get any kind of creepy feeling from this room?
She looks around, she says, "Could use a little less pink."
Okay, just kind of have a weird feeling this morning, but hopefully it's nothing.
She kind of like leans forward a little bit. She says, "Is it, I mean, is it related to..."
It could really be related to anything.
Sure.
But I'm sure nothing that, getting beat up by you won't solve in the morning.
That's the spirit. And she stands up and says, "Ready to go?"
Taking kind of one last look back into like the bedroom, like longingly, and then even with kind of the creepiness of it, still crawling back into bed seems pretty nice. But I'm gonna kind of grab a towel and off the counter and follow her out.
Okay. Yeah, you follow her out into the hallway. Immediately as you step out, this area is not usually particularly populated, especially in the morning. As like this isn't kind of where this is not the section of the base where the majority of like residential areas are. This is specifically the executive apartments. You begin walking through the hallways, making your way towards the residential wing where the gym is located. Walking through this base, it's easy to see like a lot of the, in spite of the significant work that the resistance has done with this place over the last 5 months, it's, I mean, it's still, you can still see places where it shows its original purpose as being a sort of oversight base for terraforming. There are various not scientific, like readout panels that are for right now, not displaying anything other than just sort of like welcome screen kind of thing, but would have been ideal for monitoring the state of like a lot of heavy machinery from basically anywhere in the base. There this it's the kind of stuff that was it definitely shows itself as like the kind of base. Basically everywhere you turn, there's evidence of technology and architecture that was designed to make it easy for a handful of people to oversee the entire altering of the face of a planet for over the course of a decade or so. But just as obvious are all of the signs of how abruptly development of this place was cut off. There are places where you can see there were lines run where equipment was intended to be installed that never came. There are places where you can see like there are still some like ventilation shafts that you can see that have been they've been prepared, but there are like vent covers that just in some places just never made it on. There are rooms that as you pass through you can see that they were intended to be housing all kinds of equipment that just lay bare, are being currently used as storage spaces. But eventually you make your way to the gym itself, and as you are starting to enter it, somebody is like, you can see basically just like sort of a glass wall, where there's like a single set large door. Through that glass wall you can see there are a bunch of people inside currently in the process of their morning workouts. And as you step up to the door, it opens and somebody walks out and almost runs full into you. And she just says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she looks up and says, "Oh, hello." And you recognize Liaralai, the sister of your one-time ship's doctor, Abriel. She says, "Oh, Peach, it's good to see you."
Hey, good morning.
And she says, "Oh, were you just coming in to get started?"
Yeah, I was a little late this morning.
She smiles and says, I noticed. Oh, I mean, I didn't notice. I just Zaya just, you can see, she just says, Zaya just looks at both of you. She says, "Want me to give you 2 a minute?"
Oh, no, we better go get started, Zaya. I made us a little late already.
She says, "Oh, Zaya, good to see you." She says, "Yeah, I'm here too." And you can see that Ari just flushes, and she says, "Well, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you much in the last few weeks."
Yeah, I've been a little busy, but maybe catch lunch later.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. Maybe we can take it over to the atrium and just take in the view.
Yeah. Yes, I'd love that. That sounds
All right.
good.
Pending any crisis. Sounds good.
Right, of course. And Zaya says, "If we don't get started soon, I'm gonna have a crisis." And she just walks past both of you into the gym.
Well, I better talk her down. Good seeing you.
She smiles and says, "Yes, you too." You sort of do that like awkward thing where you sort of like not sure who's going which direction, and then
Bye.
Bye. And you both make your way, or you make your way into the gym, where Zaya is just like inside, just
Don't say a word.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, how do you want us to start this morning?
She says, I think we go back to our hand-to-hand drills today." And she just sort of rolls her shoulders.
Okay, you asked for it.
And we'll take that moment to cut.
Can I roll to see how badly I get beat up? Can we just for our enjoyment?
Hold that thought. We'll come back to
Okay.
that. We'll do that
Okay.
we'll do that when we come back.
Okay, good.
So we'll take that
Oh,
moment
man, that's great.
to cut. We'll say it's about. You know what? We'll cut downstairs. In the north wing, where all of the maintenance and utilities, as well as the hangar, are located. There's a large room that is dedicated to sort of the generator and power systems. At this particular moment, this time of day, most of the night crew is they're starting to pack up. It's that moment that for where in the day where for just a short time there is almost nobody crewing the generator room. I say almost because of course there is one person currently there. Bina, you are running the third diagnostic on the geothermal conversion systems. Just sort of taking it in and just sort of calmly watching as each of the like little like diagnostic bars go up, turn green, and then the next one starts green. This goes on for quite some time. Is it fair to say that this is probably one of Bina's preferred times to be here?
Oh yeah, yeah. Lately, she's figured out. Once it took a little bit, I think, for like the entire base to get into its own rhythm with like new people coming in. But as soon as they kind of figured it out, Bina found that time slot where she could slide in between people, and that kind of became her norm.
Yeah. It's easy to be a little bit, at least somewhat, comforted here because just being surrounded by the sounds of machinery and computers, with the occasional whizzing of one of the small like maintenance drones, that just sort of will go by, just kind of. There's a sort of peaceful serenity that comes with being in a place surrounded only by machines and power systems. And you're kind of fully caught up in this, watching the bars load, turn green, load, turn green, load, turn green. And so it takes you a second before you realize that you are actually sensing somebody's presence nearby. You can feel sort of a sense of nervousness and sort of cautious optimism. And it's almost startling because you you're not sure how they got so close before you even realized, but as you look up, you can see a young human. He's probably 18 or 19, sort of short blonde hair, bright blue eyes, currently dressed in sort of big like maintenance overalls, with like big sort of tool belt. You see, as you look up, you from the display, you see Jade standing there, and he says, "Hi. The inevitable told me I could find you here."
Here I am.
Yeah. I just came to tell you that there's a few consoles in ops that are sort of there a few of them went fully dark, and we've been trying to get them back up. And
Oh, I can get it. And she kind of looks around. She grabs her little tool belt that's kind of next to her and wings it around and pulls the status from the current diagnostic onto her terminal and says, "Just the main ones."
It's actually the docking, the ones that monitor docking.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. Also, I mean, this is sort of a minor one, but we briefly lost comms to the observatory, but
Again?
yeah. But I think it's probably just the radiation from the nebula, but
So it might pass.
yeah.
Keep an eye on it though.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm good.
When's the last time I saw Jade? When's the last time we had a
Liar.
You don't know.
conversation? Yeah, it's been a
you
long
honestly
time.
you think about that for a second and you realize you honestly
No
don't know.
idea.
Yeah.
Could not. Yep.
It has to have been at least maybe 2 or 3 days, but maybe it was more than that.
Bina's days are kind of blurring together recently.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jade just stands. Yeah, I'm good. I'm working in the hangar bay still. Making sure those doors keep opening. The frost is really killing some of the servos on them though, so it's a lot of work, but
I can look into making something.
oh,
Might help. I don't know.
yeah. I mean that I've been trying to jury rig some of the extra power cells from the shield to maybe channel in some of that extra energy or some of that extra energy into maybe converting it into heat, into like maybe makeshift heat generators for the servos so that they don't freeze as easily. But I don't know, I'm kind of hitting a bit of a dead end. Some of that stuff wasn't designed to be worked on in that way, so it's been a lot of plasma cutting and trying to get at some of those things. It's not really that interesting. It's not like
Cool stuff. Yeah, I'll definitely think on it. Maybe I have like half my workshop is in my quarters now, so I could just mess around with something, send it over.
yeah.
I'm gonna go look at those consoles.
What? Oh, yeah.
Have a bye, and she turns around and leaves.
Yeah. In spite of the fact that you try not to, you can't help but feel his disappointment.
I don't. This hurts Caitlin so much.
But yeah, you wander through the corridors, making your way back to your quarters, in the south wing. You get there mostly like from time to time you'll see people, you recognize some of them, whatever, maybe it's hard to say, but I'm gonna guess there's probably not a whole lot of eye contact that you're making, but
No.
yeah. From time to time as you pass through the corridors, you'll just see people being, "Hi, Bina," and just, "Hey, how's it going?" And just kind of continuing to move. You reach your quarters, and the door opens up just. You step inside. Your room is sort of, it's a small living space, just a regular, sort of almost like a dorm room. There's the bed. There's a couch. There's a separate bathroom, separate room. Would you describe what Bina's room looks like?
Yeah, so small. It's definitely not the apartment style that Peach has, but like intentionally. I think if Bina had been offered a bigger apartment, she would have said no. That would have been too much space for her. But yeah, it's got very sparse as far as like personal effects or like furniture goes. There's like what's standard in there. I think she might have brought in like a piece of like sheet metal or something that goes across the room from like the seating area to the bed that is just like covered with stuff, and it's very much like I think I said in our session, her like personal effects are her tools and shit that's in there, and it definitely appears to be a space in which someone forearm full of things to move to utilize different places of the room and then moves it back when she needs that side of the room. Like, yeah, it's very cluttered. She moves around it like she knows where everything is, but to anyone else it would kind of look like a disaster. But yeah, there's nothing like fun in here. Like, it's not like being a fun time project. Like, all of this is like work stuff from the station that needs tending to, or potential fixes for things that are not working elsewhere. But yeah, all of this is like she's made her quarters into like a workroom.
Yeah. So you move about the room, and this type of room is sort of the majority of living spaces on this base. Designed so that individuals could live relatively comfortably, with the basically just designed to be kind of a sleeping space and just sort of a personal space. Basically, just a bedroom is kind of what it was designed to be, with the rest of the base serving any other needs for habitation. You move about the room, gathering your tools, getting ready for the job that you're going to be doing, and you step outside, making your way towards the central wing and ops. You step into the atrium and see just this enormous space. The way that I've described it before is almost looking like the courtyard of a mall, with various strange troughs that sort of run through it in a lot of different places. Troughs that appear to have been once intended to have kind of small gardens or plant life or the like, but the soil had not come yet when the base and the terraforming project was abandoned. Right now, as you walk through all of these, making your way towards the lifts, you can see where there are quite a few of them, where people are starting to bring what little soil has been able to be sort of shipped here, and starting to make use of it and plant it for practical purposes. Starting to plant small gardens, like community gardens almost. As you step through what has become the mess hall, just sort of an open space with a bunch of chairs and tables, you can see lots of people who are currently taking their morning meal, various stages of bleary-eyed and disgruntled. Making your way through that, you shoot a glance towards the outside, where there are these the outside of this space, where there are these just gigantic floor-to-ceiling windows that look out over the mountain range. The same view, in fact, that sometime earlier Peach had looked out from her own room just below here.
Am I walking past it, or is it further from me?
You're kind of walking parallel to it, but it's a ways away from you, probably about maybe like 100 feet or so.
Never mind then.
Yeah, you kind of glance out in that direction, and you can see that for the first time, actually, in you're not entirely sure how long, but for the first time in what seems like a while, it's not actually snowing outside. It seems to be, it's still dark, but it's and overcast, but it seems relatively clear otherwise. Makes kind of a nice change of pace, but at the same time, you can see where the snow has sort of drifted up onto the windows and kind of piled and collected at the bottom, at the base of the windows on the outside.
That strange diffused light effect you get when snow piles up on windows.
Yeah. But you move through this space and reaching the lift banks, and ride them up to ops, just above the atrium. when you arrive in Ops, a sort of a circular room that with sort of a like quarter sphere window to the outside that kind of looks out over the mountains and to the snowfields below. There is a. This is always one of the busiest places on the base, as it's sort of where the largest concentration of people tend to be, besides the atrium itself. And people sort of moving around here, looking at each other at consoles, sort of working at the consoles, a flow of information. This is the central command of the Resistance base. You kind of quickly glance around and make your way over towards one of the Resistance personnel who's kind of at a nearby console, who
I just kind of hold up my toolkit.
yeah, she looks up at you and says, "Oh, hi.
I was told there's some consoles that were dark.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I actually hadn't put in the request yet, the maintenance request yet, but I'm glad you're here." She looks over and says, "It's those two over there, and they're just not coming online. I mean, it's clear that they're on, but there's
Bina goes.
And she just sort of trails off and just right, okay, and she goes back to what she was doing. Yeah, you step over to the consoles and just sort of kneel down and start kind of messing with them, going through. You open a panel and like start futzing around with like the insides. You know what? I'm gonna make you roll.
Yeah.
This is gonna be just
Let's do
a
it.
diagnostic
Well,
roll. This
she
will
needs
be
to.
an intelligence roll. The difficulty's not very high. The difficulty on this one is 2. Gonna be 2.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
I'm not entirely sure that you'll need to roll.
I just for funsies.
Sure.
This is a task that involves sight.
100%.
Okay, so I've taken and I have tools.
I'm pretty sure just
I'm just saying, like, I've just taken it down from a 2 to a -3 plus
Yeah.
tools is halftime.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Difficulty -3.
Mm-hmm. So you're rolling.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll
Okay,
just
cool.
because. 18.
Okay. Yeah. You open the panel and you immediately see what's happening. Yeah, you open it and you immediately see very clearly a sight that you have come to recognize
Ugh.
and just detest. That
These motherfuckers.
there is a tiny nest inside where you can see a bunch of like just little tiny, probably about the size of a fist, these little feathery furry spheres. And as you pop the panel, you look inside and they're dark coal-like eyes turn and look up at you, and they start emitting those high-pitched squeaks that just grate on you.
You are so cute and I hate you so much. I call Sedona
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
on my comms.
Yeah, you just hear, yeah, go ahead.
I found more of them. Where are we keeping them now?
She goes, oh, okay. Are they causing problems?
Yeah.
Okay,
There are consoles that aren't working in the main area. In the main, what the fuck is this called? Control.
Ops. Yeah.
In ops. They're making consoles dark in ops.
She says, okay, there's more than one?
How many are there?
There's like 5.
There are like 5 of them. They're nesting again.
She says, oh, babies, okay.
Babies.
You know what? I was gonna talk you through this, but seeing as how baby cloud bells are kind of different, I'll just come over there myself.
Thanks.
Hold tight.
Okay.
And she cuts off communication.
She closes the panel. She doesn't want their beady little eyes judging her for not liking them.
Yeah. You
She just glares at the closed panel.
yeah. As you're doing that, you happen to look up, and just beyond the consoles that aren't working is sort of the the window that looks into the atrium from Ops, and you can see, as you look up, you can see an adult Cloudbell that just sort of rises up slowly, and that just like right outside, just a puffball of fur and feathers with a single, no limbs, just a single long streamer-like tail that's sort of out behind it. That just
She
sort
has
of
one
like,
of her tools in her hand, and
Yeah.
she just goes, "You."
just sort of rises up, and like as it's looking at you, it's sort of its little beady dark eyes just looking at you. It just sort of rolls in place while looking at you. A second one sort of comes up next to it, and the two
That
of
is
them,
mocking me.
yeah, the
You're
two of them
mocking
look
me.
at each other, and the first one goes to the second one, bounces off of it, and like just sort of goes floating off towards one of the vents.
You're my mortal enemies. I hope you know this. She just whispering to herself in the middle of crowded ops at Cloudbells who are 20 feet away from her through glass.
maybe some people look over at you, but Bina wouldn't notice.
No. Also, I feel like it's well known at this point that if anyone knows who Bina is and has had to deal with her in tech, they've had to deal with her and tech and Cloudbells, and they know that this is how she is.
Yeah. It doesn't take long, but Sedona arrives in Ops. You turn to see a young Nelfin woman, sort of like a pale greenish skin, bald, as most Nelfin tend not to grow hair. She has sort of almost like, it almost looks at a distance like almost like scaly skin, but on a closer inspection it's much more like a botanist would looking at Sedona would see the resemblance to like the cells on like a leaf. She glances quickly around the room. She's currently dressed in like a very like she looks like she's been gardening is what she looks like. She's wearing like a short sleeve kind of like floral pattern shirt with sort of very like casual overalls that just go down just below her knee. And she like glances over at you, and she sees you, and she comes over, says, are they in there?
She gets her hands and then slides it open again.
Yeah.
And moves and lets her inside.
Yeah, Sedona leans down and just sort of reaches and says, "Hi. Wow. Well, you all
Look
look
at that,
very..."
there are 6 of them. That was one height you were hiding from.
She says, "You all look very healthy." It's like, "I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to move you." And she just like reaches out very gently, very slowly towards the nest. And you can see as her hands close on the nest, some of them start sort of like going, like moving around her arms, sort of like spiraling up her arms, just sort of like onto her shoulders. And she just sort of like kind of tilts her head to sort of lean against them. And you see one of the smallest ones just sort of like nuzzle up to her cheek. And she very slowly removes the nest. She says,
Be gone.
She says, "Okay," and she reaches in. No, you can't stay in there. She grabs the last one, and just sort of settles in the nest. She says, "Okay." She glances and she says, "I think you're good."
Probably.
And she says, "Ooh, I'm not a mechanic, but it kind of looks like they were chewing on something."
It's not pretty.
And she says, "Okay." She says, "Thanks for calling me. I will."
Thanks for taking them.
She kind of glances around Ops, like taking in your surroundings, and then kind of looks at you and she says, "You good?"
Yeah, it'll be a quick job.
Okay. And she says, "I might have figured out some of the nutrient systems in hydroponics, by the way, so if you come by later,
good.
I might have something to show you."
Another thing that hates me.
Well, we're making progress, I think.
Maybe. I can handle the watering systems. The plants don't like me. I'm telling you, they actively don't like me.
She says,
Is that possible? Can they have feelings? Can they hate me? Because I think they do.
she looks at you and says, I'm gonna try not to be offended by that. Yes, plants. It's possible for plants to. You
Is
know
it
what?
possible they hate me? I guess is the question.
I
'Cause I think
guess.
they do.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose. She says, I don't know. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, they haven't told me anything about you at all.
That's good.
She says,
I'll make something grow. I'll get something to grow at some point. But first, I have to fix the watering system.
plants aren't like machines, Bina.
I know.
You can't make them do anything.
I know. I'm trying so hard.
She says, okay, okay. That one went up my sleeve. It's time. I'm gonna get these guys somewhere safe.
Pecan, she whispers at the nest of them.
Yeah, she just sort of like walks away, holding the nest, and just sort of reaches up to one. And you can see as like a couple of them just sort of like are happily just sort of orbiting her as she makes her way out of ops.
I hate that they're cute. I hate that they're cute. And she sticks her head back under the console again to try to go back to work to fix all of the stuff they've been chewing on.
Yeah.
Chewing on my consoles.
All right. With that, we will cut over one last time. We'll cut over. Well, actually, this time we will be cutting over to somewhere not inside the base. Mason. It is probably the clearest morning that you've been out here for a couple of weeks. There, for the last several weeks, you've been forced to sort of come out here on the planet's surface, just in the middle of snowstorms of varying types, varying degrees of severity. At the moment, aside from sort of a pretty light breeze, it's pretty calm out here. You sort of trudge through the snow, and kind of hefting the bundle of tech that includes the perimeter sensors. As you make your way, you move up, kind of to the top of the hill. There's a moment as you sort of stop to catch your breath, as you sort of like reaching up, removing your goggles and glance back down at the vehicle, at kind of like the land vehicle that you left, and sort of glancing down, you look back up, and you can see that the top of the hill is not too far away now.
I kind of like clap my hands together, kind of bring some heat to my fingers, and kind of just survey. Is it? I'm assuming from your description so far, we're in the daytime cycle.
Yeah, it is morning. It's starting to. If you were perhaps on a different planet at roughly the same time of day, it would probably be getting like this. The sun would be coming up, but here, the sun doesn't really come up that often, and when it does, it's very far away. Which means that a significant portion of your time here is spent in the dark. However, it is the closest thing that you have to full morning, to dawn. As you kind of glancing around, you see, sort of surveying the top of the hill up ahead, you can see that there's a place that looks like it probably is that sweet spot of being high enough that the sensor relay will function properly, but also sheltered from most of the worst of weather that you've seen.
I like to imagine that besides maybe some heavy snow boots of some kind, Mason's probably just wearing his same garb, considering, even though it's probably, he should have like a huge jacket.
Yeah.
To anyone who doesn't know, he's
Yeah.
probably just adapting to the cold, a rapid succession.
Yeah. You're pretty comfortable at the moment. Just sort of wearing your regular casual clothing. Your body having fully adjusted to the low temperatures.
I pull out a smoke and I light it, and I kind of just trudge on and look
Yeah.
around.
You as you light the cigarette, your companion walking next to you, the Voxora Patch, turns their kind of their head, which is pretty much just sort of a like sort of horizontal cylindrical lens that turns to you, and you can see as the iris sort of contracts slightly, and as they turn to you, they they say, "You know, this might not be the best place or time to do that."
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you're right.
I was under the impression that that cigarettes were for victory conditions.
Yeah, I'm kind of slacking today. Kind of a rough night, and kind of Mason just kind of flicks it out and kind of stomps out the cherry in the snow and puts it away. You're right though.
They turn to you and just say, perhaps we should
We don't hear it. We've heard it in the wrong spot only.
Yeah, that was a joke, Lucas. Come on.
I set these on purpose, and
I
it
know,
does
I'm
not
so
work.
sorry. I'm trying to.
Yeah. This one? Is it this one? Okay. They turn to you and they say, they glance up. They say, "I believe I found a location there," and they kind of point to the same location that you found for the beacon.
I hoist I don't know, a duffel or whatever. I hoist it. I say, all right, let's do this, and let's try to be stealthy. I guess I've never been very stealthy, but I can try.
You can see that the iris just sort of expands, and they don't say anything else. They just continue following.
I mean, these boots, not stealthy boots, in this snow. I mean, what? Snow. I'm not used to snow at all.
I was unaware that humans complain to this degree.
Yeah. Well, I've not lived in a snowy environment ever. But Mason kind of pulls a sling. He has a sling or something, and he pulls out a thermos and kind of unhatches it and kind of just drinks some coffee that he has stored in it. All right, let's go.
The two of you make your way. You continue up the grade and finally reach that point where you can see kind of like some of the natural formations of the rock here create sort of a sheltered location. And Patch sets to kind of clearing some of the snow from the area, exposing some ground, and they reach into the bag that they're carrying and pull out a sensor device and sort of jam it into the ground, and they say, "Beginning depth sensor. Stand by."
All right. Standing by. I'd like to
yeah.
kind of survey the area as best as possible, keeping an eye out for maybe potential threats of any kind.
Sure. I'm actually gonna go ahead and have you make a roll. This will be an intellect roll. The difficulty is gonna be, well, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a 3.
Awesome.
And this is for sort of perception.
Yeah. In fact, I'm trained in perception tasks.
So that
So-
that drops the difficulty down to a 2.
I'm gonna roll there. I like a little bit of a challenge.
Okay. You see a 6
14.
or better. 14. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, you kind of glance around, and it actually doesn't take you long. From as you were climbing the hill, you didn't notice because they were sort of just from the angle. But now that you're up here, kind of at the apex, you kind of look around, and you actually do notice that there are some tracks not too far away. They are large, probably like roughly about half the size of Mason's torso, and there are at least 3 sets of them that are just sort of these large, like definitely some kind of like paw prints that they move away, kind of away from where your vehicle was, from where your vehicle is parked, kind of down the other side of the hill.
Okay.
But yeah.
Seeing as this is probably not Mason's first outing,
Mm-hmm.
so he probably would have tried his best to make it his business of the types of environmental threats, nature or organic or otherwise. So
Yeah.
would he have an idea of what these tracks are, or should I dig a little further?
You know, I will say that there is a good chance that you have seen the creatures that make these, and they are essentially sort of these they're basically just sort of large I'm trying to think of like how to describe them. Like they're basically just sort of these large furry creatures with just like this long thick hair. I kind of think of like kind of like the a little bit like banthas in Star Wars, but a little bit more formless, and just sort of like a singular, like almost like a narwhal horn, sort of in this in
Okay.
like the center of like the forehead. They
Huh.
are generally peaceful, but somewhat territorial.
Okay. Patch, how are we looking?
They don't even look up from the scanner. They just reply. I have heard a human expression that patience is a virtue.
One I'm not good at, admittedly.
That is evident. To answer your question, the scan is nearly complete. It appears that the integrity of the ground here is sufficient to house the scanner.
Oh, good. We got tracks of another one.
At that, Patch does actually look up at you, and they say, "Ah, I see. A tiring circumstance."
It's bleeding away, so not too worried at the moment. Just something to keep an eye on.
Understood. I believe my scans here are complete and sufficient. You may apply the beacon.
All right, Mason, we'll grab the appropriate beacon.
Mhm.
It's a physical thing.
Yeah, it's essentially what it
Okay,
what it
cool.
is sort of like a long kind of like a cylinder, basically. That's sort of like this sort of cylindrical piece of tech, probably about that big around at its widest point. The bottom is sort of this is sort of pointed, almost like a kind of like tent spikes, right? How the way that they're shaped, kind of at the bottom with sort of pointed. And you take it, you lift it up over the sort of cleared ground and just sort of slam it into the ground. You have to slam it a couple of times just because the ground is frozen a bit here. So just kind of taking it, slamming it into the ground, and as you finally do, you finally kind of get it secured, and then you hit the activator button. You can hear the chink as the anchor sort of like extends inside in the ground, sort of fully securing it in. And as you let it go, it's sort of freestanding. It it seems to further, like you can hear like the servos moving as like the like drill mechanism drills it further into the ground, and then it just sort of and then like lights start coming on and just starts beeping. Patch pulls up their scanner and starts looking at it and says, "Currently syncing with the beacon. Stand by. Beacon communication established."
Good. All right. Next location.
Actually, I've received a communication on my terminal. It appears that we are needed back at the base.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course we're needed at the base. Oh, man. We gotta find more reasons to get out of here. Please.
The work of the Resistance is never done.
No. It never is. It's just another day in the office.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
I'm driving this time. And they turn and just start like walking down the hill.
Oh, yes.
Oh, all right.
What we all deserve.
I don't even know if there's keys, but if there aren't, it's okay. Just the equivalent of some passing it off to.
Yeah, just sort of like basically
Passing
like the
off to
key
them.
card. Yeah, like the
Yeah.
yeah. And the two of you make your way back to the vehicle and begin making your way back to the base. I think that's actually where we're gonna take our break because we are like
Oh.
right there.
Holy shit! How is
Oh
it
my
already been
gosh.
that long?
I know.
Whoa.
What?
I know.
What is
I know.
time?
I think we are a little bit on the early side, but probably
By
just
like 3 minutes.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
much. But
Perfect.
It's good.
yeah. So we're
Love it.
gonna take our break now. We will be back in about 10 minutes or so to continue. So we will see you in just a few minutes. Take a break, get some water, stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, all that stuff. We'll see you in just a little bit. And we're back. Hi everybody. Welcome back. We're back from break. I have refilled my water, which is good because I was running low.
Ready.
That's my announcement. When we come back, my announcement is I am hydrated.
I ate
I
a bowl of
ch-
rice so fast. That's my announcement.
I made some decaf coffee. We're all good. We're
Yeah.
all going.
Oh, did Freeman freeze?
Oh, we've lost Freeman.
We have-
Someone please get that photo. It's
Oh
so
my god.
It's very classic.
I mean, I can hear you.
Freeman, are you back?
Oh no.
This is
Fred,
super,
is he
e-
alive?
I'm here.
super eerie.
Okay. Well, you're here. I can hear you. I just your picture is frozen.
Quick, do a really serious scene.
Just
No,
yeah.
I thought you were gonna say do a flip, but I was like, what?
What? No. All right. Well, we are going to start anyway. Freeman might get kicked from the. Oh, he's back.
Up
He's
there.
back. There he is.
Good.
Perfect timing.
Power of
Yeah.
the
Good.
power.
The power.
The sheer
Yeah.
power I had to use. I have no more components. Oh, sorry, wrong game.
Out of spell slots.
Yeah. All right. Well, we
Ah.
will get back. We'll just go ahead and jump right back in to the game. We will cut to a little bit later, kind of mid morning, I would say. And I actually think I will have that roll from you now, Olivia.
Yay!
This is going to be either a speed or a might roll.
I'm just gonna say speed.
Okay, all right, yeah.
That's what I'm saying on
Fair
that
enough.
one.
Yeah, you know what? Go for it. The difficulty is going to be 3.
Okay. Let me. Oh my god, I haven't consulted my sheet for a roll in so long.
So,
Speed.
so
Do
for
I
those of
have-
you who may be unfamiliar with the Cypher system, everything is done in levels of difficulty, which are like in groups of 3. So a difficulty 1 is you need a 3 or better on the dice. Difficulty 2, you need a 6 or better on the dice, and so on and so forth. 1s are bad, 20s are great. So it might be similar to other systems you are familiar with. So yeah, Olivia, you have
Just
anything?
gonna roll, honestly.
gonna roll?
I mean, I don't really have anything that helps. I'm trained in
Alright.
speed defense, but that doesn't help.
All right. You know what? I'll let it factor into
Is it
this.
like, am I helping? Am I
This is
defending? Probably.
Probably. This is sort of
Yeah.
a general role for like the course of sparring with
Okay.
Zaya, and so this is probably one of those things that I'll let it count because it's certainly relevant.
Okay. Awesome. 2 or better. Okay, I'll just roll.
Yeah, go
I'm
for it.
not gonna spend effort. This is just some sparring. 12.
All right, so you actually managed to hold your own in the in training, with Zaya.
Yes.
So we'll cut actually to just after your workout and sparring as the two of you are leaving the gym. Zaya says, "You're getting better."
Well, I have a fine teacher.
I am. That's correct. She just sort of rolls her shoulders and says, "Whew, I am hungry. I'm gonna go eat something."
Yeah. Really, really got you on that one, huh?
I mean, yeah, it's just all that moving and trying to
Look real cool.
I was gonna say trying to do my best to pretend that your weak ass punches did anything, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
it's just a lot of extra effort I gotta put in to make you look good, princess.
Oh, well, gotta keep up appearances.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
great. Well, I might go and see if Mason's around, but I'll maybe see you later in the kitchen.
Yeah. See you later. And she just sort of whips the towel over her shoulder and just sort of goes kind of swaggering through the hallway towards the atrium.
See you tomorrow morning.
She says tomorrow morning. Just over her shoulder, doesn't even look back, just keeps going.
Okay. Gonna go try to. Is Mason still gone? Is he still gone at this point?
As far as you know, he probably is. And you pull up your terminal to sort of to kind of send him a message, but as you're doing it, you actually get a communication in. You can see Wire's ID on it.
Pick up.
Yeah, you bring up the visual, and you can actually see Wire comes over the video. A human woman, probably in her late 20s, sort of smooth features, long, straight, dark hair that she has currently like brushed over one shoulder, and is just kind of like she's just sort of looking at you, a very mildly irritated expression on her face, one that is kind of
common.
It's common. It's
Yeah,
one
it's
that
pretty common.
Yeah, she just sort of looks at you. She says, "Where are you?"
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Whatever. Where are you?
Just leaving the gym. What's up?
She like looks past the display at something that you can't see, and she just sort of like looking up over it, and she just kind of looks back and says,
All right, what's the crisis?
She says, "No crisis in particular. Just got some new information. It's probably
On my
better."
way.
Yeah. She just cuts communication.
Yeah. Just it's like new information is all she had to say, and I was like, okay, on my way there.
You make your way over to the to ops. I'll say that as you are arriving at ops is probably about the time Bina is leaving it. So the lift doors open, and as you go out, you look up, and Bina is standing there holding her like box of tools, and yeah.
Hey, Bina.
Are you? I think you're muted, Caitlin.
You're muted still, Kate.
Hi.
Are you gonna stick around?
For why?
I think. Did you want to hear what Wire had to say?
Did I get to communicate too?
You would have gotten the thing is here's. Would Bina
Did she get it? Yeah. Has she read it?
Have alerts on her terminal? That's the question.
Yes, because it's the only way people won't talk to her in person. Because if she doesn't, they'll come find her.
Right.
And she's very much in a like, if it can be done in an email, let's do that instead. So she
Mhm.
would, yeah.
Okay.
She's accessible via communication.
Fair enough. Then in this case, we'll say that Wire would have sent. Wire is smart enough to know that Bina is not one for like actual direct communication these days.
Mhm.
So Wire would have sent in a message to you in text form, which it's entirely possible that you didn't actually get it until now. Now that
Okay, yeah.
so like yeah.
So she adjusts and then lifts up her bottom right arm and holds two arms holding the box, two arms above it while
Do
she
you
navigates.
do you want me to hold something for you?
She looks down and says, "No, I'm good," and navigates and pulls up the communicator from Wire.
Yeah, it comes up. It just says new information. Meet in the situation room.
Mm. She knows that someone has seen her get it, and so she closes it and says, "Yeah, I guess we're going to the situation room."
Yeah. What were you working on before that?
Cloud bells.
They won't leave you alone, huh?
No. They ate so many wires. That poor console. And she starts heading in the direction of the situation.
You know,
Yeah.
that really can't be good for their digestion.
No, it can't. I don't even know what they eat, but it's not probably good to eat wires. And then she kind of like laughs and goes, "Wire."
You walk over. So the hallway from the lifts leads directly towards ops, but before ops there's kind of a door off to the side where that leads kind of into the situation room, which is essentially just sort of it was probably intended as sort of like an additional monitoring station, but whatever equipment was intended to be there never got installed, so it's just kind of this open room that the Resistance has moved in like a big sort of display table, not unlike the one that was once that was in the observation deck of Awakener. And so like there's sort of like this holographic display that is currently like up, not projected out and up above, but like just on kind of surface level of the table. You can see that what you're looking at is just sort of like the holographic layout of the base. And various other like files and folders just sort of like on the table, as well as a few data pads that are just sort of scattered about. Currently the only occupants of the room are Wire and a disgruntled looking disgruntled looking Anzalonian man who you would recognize as essentially being like the chief engineer. And Wire like currently has her like the bridge of her nose pinched as he's going on and saying, "Look, I can only like policy enforcement can only go so far, okay? Like there's at a certain point, what am I going to tell them? That they can't do that they can't work on projects in their spare time?" And Wire just says, she puts her hand down. She says, "It's not about the projects. It's that they are using their grain rations on alcohol." And she says, "I mean," she says, "we have a limited supply, okay? That I looked the other way when they built the still. I don't care about that." She says, "But right now, we are very limited. We have to conserve whatever we have until we can open up a line of supply." And he says, "Now I get that. I understand." He says, "But if I tell them not to, they're not going to stop. They're going to do it anyway, and it's just going to end up if they're forced to do it in secret, it's just going to end up causing more problems." And she says, she kind of glances over at you, Peach, with an expression that you have come to interpret as help. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna turn back to them and say, Wire, did you have that new information for us?
She says, Yeah, I do. And she turns to him and says, "This is gonna have to wait until later. Just for now, just tell them that. Just tell them right now that rationing. We'll look into at putting aside some of the rationing for the purpose of
Recreation.
yeah." He looks at her and says, and then glances at you and says, "I'll pass on the message."
Why you gotta let people have a little fun, otherwise they'll become kind of bummers.
She gives you this look, like just this kind of like um and he exits. He passes by both of you as he's going, and he
Kind of give him a wink on the way out.
Yeah, and he just sort of
I think it's very amusing. I think this whole conversation is super amusing.
yeah, he walks out of the into the hallway and makes his way past you. Wire just sort of like sits in one of the chairs and just I liked it better when I was communicating with them through screens. She
And miss out on that fun guy?
she's Anyway, I'm just waiting on Mason. I think he's on his way back. And like right about almost as if on cue, Mason, that's the point where as you kind of round the corner into the situation room, sort of like looking in.
Speak of the private eye.
Hello, I'm here.
Are you covered in, are you like still like kind of wet from the snow, or what's the like, do you still look grumpy?
Yes. Sorry. Kind of sipping on a thermos full, thing full of coffee, and kind of just dust my hat off. And all right, is everyone present at this point?
Yeah, it's the three of you and Wire in the room at the moment. She just sort of looks up and says, I've been working on I got a transmission from Becker out in the field a couple weeks back, and finally was able to crack some of the encryption on it. I think I might have a potential lead on cracking the supplies situation, but it's going to require a little bit of, well, hands-on diplomacy.
My favorite activity.
That's why I was hoping you could help.
What
Right-
sort of supply line?
What kind
Where?
of diplomacy?
She kind of looks at between both of you. She says, "The mostly illegal kind," to both questions. She says, "I've been trying." She kind of slides a data pad across the table at you, and she just says, "I've been trying to find ways of getting any kind of regular supply here without advertising resistance base on this planet, and it's been difficult, but I think I finally might have cracked it. Some of our neighbors out here in the border worlds might be the answer. There's one of the crime syndicates in the border worlds has been just running well, they were kind of one of the worst of the worst, but recently something has changed, and that's actually what's on the report Becker sent me. As you like take a look over the information on the data pad and kind of pass it around, but essentially the information that's on there is it looks like field reports from Becker that are just sort of, it's a combination of a whole bunch of stuff, a distillation of like intelligence reports, monitored comms, intercepted messages, just like shipment manifests and things like that, all kinds of things, like down to like personal emails that have been sort of pulled, and essentially a lot of it is kind of indecipherable, but luckily Becker, being the intelligence agent that he is, compiled a full report, and as you look across it, you can see essentially the conclusions that were drawn is that this syndicate had one of the many kind of fractured syndicates across the border worlds, um, has apparently recently gone through a drastic change in leadership, which is not in itself a surprising thing. Coups happen all the time within the syndicates, but um, this one was pretty. This one happened very quickly, like over a very short period of time, and with minimal fallout. And usually, that kind of change in leadership results in a power vacuum that more often than not just rips whatever's left of the syndicate apart. But this one seems to have survived its change in leadership, and since then, the most interesting part of this whole thing, according to the report, is that since then their operations have changed to pretty much exclusively smuggling and goods acquisitions. And has actually managed to turn around significantly. They Wire speaks up and just says, I mean, according to Becker's report, it looks like since they've had this leadership change, things have never been better for them. They've turned some significant profits and have actually grown in their sphere of influence.
Who's this new leader?
Don't know much about her.
He hasn't sent that one over yet.
He's been trying to get. He don't have much besides just sort of. It seems like her people are being very, very diligent about keeping specific names out of any of their communications. I can tell Becker's a little bit frustrated. But the more important thing is that we actually have somebody who might. Apparently, getting to her is almost impossible. She's behind layers and layers of security and sort of false identities and things like that. Normally, the kind of thing I would have no problem slicing through, but she sort of gestures vaguely around at like the the base and like the like bank of monitors that have been set up in the corner. She says, "I am otherwise occupied." She says, "But I think Becker might have finally cracked the key here. There's a yes."
This is a Bina knowledge question.
Mhm.
So this, I guess, just more of out of curiosity. Over the past 5 months, has Wire gotten less cool towards Becker? Like, just as she's talking about him right now, like, do I still get that hint of like that she used to when she talked about him?
No, it's definitely not to the same degree as
Okay.
before. It seems, and honestly, I would say that it probably became clear to pretty much everybody that Wire was like in the past just sort of like going out of her way to like be very very distant and and
Mhm.
sort of cool towards Becker. And over like the months of working together, especially in that first month when basically all of you were just sort of recovering from what had happened at Sulon, Wire, Becker, and Zaya really took the lead on a lot of stuff. They did a lot of the heavy lifting, getting everything started and set up. And during that time, you're not sure. Most of you aren't sure what transpired between them, if anything. But basically, once you all kind of like came back into the swing of things and started kind of coming back into participating again, they were mostly fine working together.
Smells it a little bit. All good. Okay.
Seems like it, yeah.
Just out of curiosity, I just wanted to know how that relationship progressed. Cool.
Yeah. So she says, Becker thinks that he has a contact who might be able to at least get you a meeting. One of the syndicate's field agents goes by the name Riot. She's a petty criminal, smuggler, a third-rate hacker. So, rap sheet as long as my arm, but somehow manages to escape or evade regulator custody on a regular basis. So
Well,
Have to respect that.
It's not that hard.
uh,
Huh.
Wire shrugs and says, "Anyway, this riot person seems
Mhm.
like might be the only way that we'd be able to get any kind of meeting with this new leadership. And as much as I hate to say it, I think they're the only way we're going to be able to get any kind of supply line out this way."
And what does this riot want in exchange for this meeting?
Oh, Riot is unaware of our interest.
Oh.
Really, the thing that's gonna the reason Becker was able to obtain some of her gambling debts.
Ah. Okay.
Muted.
Not muted. I'm
Oh.
just quiet. And you want us to like go?
Wire says, "Well, I still have to. I mean, ideally, yes. I still need to move some things around and get you a ship, but
And
Yeah.
and once we have this meeting with the crime syndicate, I mean, does Becker have any intelligence on what their long-term operation goals are, or
according to him,
what
they
we
keep
could?
everything pretty locked tight. So
Well, maybe once we're with Riot, we can scoop some of that knowledge out.
yeah,
But
hopefully,
for an ally like that, we might have to offer something pretty big in return.
yeah. But that's why I told you and not any of our uh, other recruiters. And yeah,
Well, good job. That sounds like a very promising lead.
it's something.
It's something. Yeah.
Whoa.
And what do we have an idea, a description of what this riot?
Yeah, she goes over to the to the
Her
holographic.
eyes roll all the way back in her head as she
She pulls up this like a display, and you see a human woman, relatively young, probably maybe like 26, 27. She it like has just like a full like just bright purple mohawk, piercings like like nose pierced, eyebrow like all along that like there is like it's very obvious that this is a mugshot. That what you're looking at is a
Sick.
mugshot. You see like sort of like the chin, like on one side like a cuff, like a chain cuff with like a like that has some sort of like tech on it. It looks basically like tech jewelry essentially.
That's so cool.
And she's just sort of like standing, just like fully like flipping off the camera. And just like just
Got
kind of like
it.
the
Wow.
right like
Oh.
just at the camera like
No
it's-
wonder they call her Riot.
like yeah.
It looks like we're gonna have a bit of a personality to deal with.
She nods and says, "Yeah, better you than me."
Yeah. As much as I hate to admit it, sometimes this is a bit of my expertise.
Shrugs says, "I'm still working out the logistics of getting you a ship, but
It's no worries. I'm still setting up beacons outside.
yeah,
Patch and I set up one before we got the call.
good. Yeah, I got the report a little while ago that the beacons have started communicating. I actually did get a report from Olim, and she like slides that data pad across the table as well. Says apparently they're working on that cell in the Commonwealth, or not the cell, but the potential recruits in the Commonwealth. That, according to him, it's promising, but they're having trouble getting close as there's quite a few people who have independently started sort of displaying anti-corporate sentiments, and those people without somebody like us, they tend not to last long on their own. And Olam and his team are getting close, but it's difficult. According to them, they're having trouble evading the corporate security, getting close enough to extract them. But apparently, it's going well. They appear to be willing to join the cause. And he says as soon as they get them far enough away from corporate security, he'll send them back this way.
I think while we're talking about them being in a potentially dangerous situation, whoever is nearest to Bina gets does a whiff of a wave of nerves of anxiety, Bina anxiety for them. Not
Well,
the big overwhelming shit, but just a
a little small. Yeah.
And whoever was near.
Well, hopefully they'll be on the base soon.
Yeah. Which is another thing. She says, this is pretty much all I wanted to talk to all of you about, but she grabs yet another data pad and says, I have a list of everything, Peach, if you wouldn't mind we need to go over.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any coffee in here?
She says, yes. And
Okay.
she stands up. And she basically starts going through, she says, going through this list with you, Peach, just going the engineering corps tells me that they're getting ready to start work on the stables. I'm not sure who's going to be starting domesticating the local fauna, but they're apparently working on that. And basically just going through the list. She's just going down the list. Mason and Bina, the two of you just kind of are standing there.
Eyes glazing.
Yeah,
and I'm probably suggesting people who could do the jobs, and as we're going through
the two of you are getting the sense that you're sort of largely forgotten at this point.
It's okay.
Maybe, yeah.
Mason starts to just kind of excuse himself and kind
Yeah,
of
I think the
gives
two of
it a-
them kind of backward steps out of the
Yeah, just no, okay.
Yeah.
And turn around and double check. All right, good. And then
start heading out. Yeah. We good.
And just says to Bina, I think we're excused. Don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll see you guys later. When you guys leave, she does
Then
notice
she
and
goes-
says bye, but then is immediately back on task.
Yeah, the last you see as the door closes behind you is Wire and Peach just sort of leaning over the table, just sort of going over logistics. And the two of you sort of walk kind of side by side back down the hallway towards the lifts.
Sorry, I didn't
Did it?
even. Yeah, I did.
Nice.
I didn't know we had any bugs down here. I have to check that out. I'll talk to Jade about it.
Good call. Sedona's been really good with the cloud bells, but I don't know if that extends to bugs.
Cloud bells. Ah, I see. You had another run-in with them, huh?
Again. 6 of them. 6 of them. In a console. Eating wires. That can't be good for them.
What? Eating wires?
Yeah, they do it to spite me. Specifically, I think.
At this point, the two of you step into the lift, and it starts going down, kind of towards the atrium level.
Is that the main level? Sorry,
It's kind of
it is kind of
like
the geography here.
It is kind of the main level in the central wing. It takes up the majority of the central wing. But as the two,
Mason just
go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, just Mason just rubs his eyes a lot. He's just rubbing his eyes. Okay, just looking at his hat and seeing if the feather is on right.
Yeah, just sort of full uncomfortable silence in the lift as you're just sort of going
I don't know
down.
if it's even necessarily uncomfortable. I don't know about these two lately. It's just
Oh yeah,
kind of
no. If it's a silence with Mason, it's probably just kind of
just
it's
is.
it is. Yeah.
Mhm. I think that's kind of where these two have fallen into these past few weeks. Kind of yeah.
We'll talk on the elevator and then go about our.
Mhm.
What's your next task anyway?
She kind of adjusts the box in her hands and starts going through. Oh, I never went back on my diagnostics. I have to go check out some diagnostics. And then I said I would do some things for some people, and I'll have to remember what they are. They're probably in my room.
I
Diagnostics
can't
first.
believe I'm about to say this, but try to get some rest too, somewhere in there, okay?
She actually like not like full laugh or anything, but kind of like a smile and a nod at you, like at some point.
You will notice that Mason's a little more noticeably worn
Mm.
this day, maybe the past couple days. Kind of like he usually keeps himself pretty composed, but he's noticeably, rubbing his eyes. He's got his coffee on him in like a thermos
On the go.
on the go. Well, I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go back out and put up some more scanners. I guess. I don't know. I have to see how many I have to do, but it's kind of nice out there.
I tell you to keep warm, but I think you're probably okay.
Yeah, it's been fun practicing that. Switch that on and off. Yeah.
At this point, the lift reaches the atrium, and the doors open. The two of you step out.
Well, until the next elevator ride.
one of the four, and then they kind of, I think they split
Yeah.
and head at opposite ways down the
Bina,
hallways.
as you're heading towards the exit to the atrium, you run into Jade again. As
Poor
he
Jade.
he walks up and says, "Hey, Bina,
Hi,
how did the repair go?"
Cloud Bells.
Damn. He just shakes his head and he says, "Yeah, somebody needs to get those things under control because right now I think if it goes too much longer, I mean, their breeding cycle is coming up and that's
They were babies, 6 of them.
oh
already in it.
no, already?
Mhm.
Okay.
I lost track of time too.
Yeah.
I made Sedona come get them for me. I don't like to touch them. They freak me out.
Yeah. She's really good with them.
I don't-
Hey, I was just about to go have lunch. Do you want to come have lunch with me?
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
I gotta. But she kind of like gestures to her big box of stuff. Says, I kind of wanted to finish up for the day. Mason told me I should take a nap, and I think I'm gonna follow his advice.
Okay. Yeah, sure. You don't even have to use your abilities to like see that he is not he's definitely disappointed that there's
I know, it's so common. Oh,
Yeah.
you guys, Caitlin hurts.
It's like I'm like
Why are
a
you doing
tears.
this
Like
to
I know,
yourself?
I'm
my
so
eyes are
sad.
watery.
I'm so sad.
Oh,
But Bina kind of gives him like an apologetic smile, and she says, Next time."
he like stops for a second and he like looks at you and like opens his mouth like he's about to say something. You can like feel like sort of
Yeah,
resolve. You can feel like
Mhm.
resolve from him, and he opens his mouth to say something. But then just as he's about to do so, somebody calls over. It's like Jade, hey. And then you both of you look over and you see like a group of people. A few of them look like they are maintenance or engineering. And a couple of them look like they are just sort of right now they're just sort of dressed in like just civilian clothing. And you see like the one that called over a Terran man who like just sort of like you can see that he has like ridges on his head, like those sort of like spiny ridges on his head. And he like turns to them. He's like, "That's who you need to talk to right there. Jade can get you whatever you need." He says, "Jade, come here." He says, those extra nutrient rations?" He says, "What did you say we could get those?" Jade says, yeah, 1 second." And he turns back to you and just,
Next time.
"Yeah, next time." He says, though I actually stored a whole bunch of them," and he like walks off and just
Yeah.
yeah.
Bina stands there for a second and like kind of like hangs her head and looks down into her box and just Sorry, that was right into the microphone. And then we'll turn and head back. It's the hardest to say no to Jade.
My heart.
It's the hardest to say no to Jade. That's in character and out of character.
Yeah.
But she can't do it yet. She can't do the friendly thing yet.
We will cut to just a little while later. Back up in the situation room. Wire is just sort of going through like item by item with you. She finally says, and the last thing is, it looks like our fighter squadron is finally tuned up and ready. They're requesting permission to start running drills. I told them that it's a security risk, but if anybody happens by while they're running drills, they'll be seen. But the fact is, they can't not run drills. So
There's nowhere on the planet they could go that wouldn't be super visible.
well, planet side is fine, but they need to be space ready as well.
Oh.
They can't just run the planet side drills.
Can we have the cover that they're regulators in training or some kind of...
She thinks for a second, says, I could probably falsify some signature IDs.
That way, if anybody saw, then it would appear kind of business as normal.
That's not a
It's
bad
a little
idea.
a little odd to see them out this far, but not too weird.
Nobody really questions the regulators out this way.
Yeah.
At worst, well, they either casually ignore them or they start shooting on sight. So, either way, practice.
Hey, Where can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you pull up the video footage from my room from earlier this morning?
She frowns and says,
Just humor me for a second.
yeah, I guess I can. She goes over to the camera feed, or to the bank of monitors, and just starts kind of going through and pulling up some of the footage, just sort of going through kind of
the specific time. I know the time because remember I looked at the clock specifically when I woke up. So
yeah, she goes sort of fast forwards through the timestamp and gets there and stops and starts playing it forward from that time. You see a dark room, just sort of softly illuminated by the glow of the clock. You can see as you sort of gently stir awake, and sort of turn over, look at the clock, and then you just, without seeing anything else, you see yourself just very suddenly stand up with like sort of a bat appearing in your hand. You just very suddenly stand up, sort of staring off towards one side of the room. And give me, you know what? Just because to look over this, I'm gonna have you give me a roll. Kind of looking over. This is gonna be an intellect roll.
Okay.
The difficulty of this is going to be 5.
Okay. Let us see what I got here. No. Okay. It's not an intellect defense roll. Would this count as a knowledge, science, or crafting roll?
No, I don't think any of those apply.
Okay, damn. Well, I'm just gonna use some effort.
Okay.
Then, because I don't think I have really anything else that'll help besides that. So,
Okay.
I have a discerning mind as an ability, but that's not really for this. That's just kind of a quality.
Yeah.
So, I will just spend what difficulty did you say it was 5?
Yep.
Damn. Okay. Well, I'm gonna spend a couple levels of effort. I have 4 levels now.
That's right. Okay, wait a minute. How many of you are tier 4 now? Cool.
I'm close, but
Yeah.
So I'm gonna spend all 4 levels of effort.
Okay.
So it's a difficulty 1.
It's difficulty 1, yeah. Just need a 3 or better.
Can I, studying it for a minute or two, can I use understanding to knock that down to last level? Understanding does let me study and then lower the task. That's like specifically the ability.
Right, but I feel it.
It's like a creature, or I can pull up the ability if
Yeah,
you want.
yeah.
It's like you have to like you study for a minute
Because
Yeah.
there's
and then gain
depending
an
on
asset.
depending on this, it might not be. Depending on
It's
how
like,
it.
did they watch it for a minute before they had to look through it again?
Right, like
or-
that's the thing. Like I don't know if it applies to like, because technically this is a recording. This is a mechanical device. This is like a like a
I
device.
know.
So it really depends on how it's intended to be used.
I
So
love it.
You observe or study a creature or object. Your next interaction with that creature or object gains 1 asset. This is an object that I
Yeah.
am studying. It's kind of vague, but it's an intellect-based role.
The potential for a creature, we don't know yet.
yeah, sure, okay, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Ooh.
Hell yeah. Okay, so I don't have to roll then.
Right.
But I mean, should I anyway? Just cause?
If you want to, that's up to
Your
you.
call.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
It was a 5.
Okay. Well,
So nothing exciting.
nothing
but-
exciting. But I
cowbells.
am gonna
Yeah.
take this opportunity to offer you a GM intrusion.
Oh yeah, I'll take it.
Cool. All right. So who's
wait,
getting
let
the
me-
other XP?
I'm gonna give it to I'm gonna give it to Mason.
Sounds
Get that tear up.
Yeah.
Get it.
Basically.
good.
Join us.
All right. So you you're watching this, and for some time, just like having Wire just sort of go through back and forth, kind of like replaying the same section over and over again. She says, "What are we looking for?"
Can we see if there were heat signatures, or I'm trying to see if something was the remnant of a dream, or if there was something there.
Okay. Wire just sort of like she puts several filters over it. And it's not turning up any kind of like Wire looks at it. She goes, doesn't look
Mhm.
like it's turning up any unusual heat signatures. Just sort of yours and ambient heat signatures from probably, I'm guessing, tech in the room. Nothing out of the
Well-
ordinary. She like removes the filters and just let me try something else, and she runs another filter out of it. You see that as she does, like this time the ambient light level of the room sort of like it's sort of like enhanced slightly, so you can see a
Mhm.
little bit better. It's a lot grainier footage,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a little bit easier to see. It's a little bit, you can make out more details of the room. She sort of plays it one more time, and as you're looking, there's a moment at the around the exact moment that you are right around the point where you have woken up, looked at the clock, right up until the moment that you fully stood up and the light started coming on. You there somewhere in that, it's like a second, like a 1 or 2 seconds in that period of time, where you just see it's barely visible, but there is sort of like some kind of, it almost looks like some kind of glitch in the footage, almost, but it's localized. It's just sort of like a blob, like you know how in film, right? Sometimes you'll get like with film grain, you get that little like sort of those blips on like the actual film, like the distortion in the actual film. It's like that, but much faster. Like you barely catch it. Yeah, just sort of on this thing.
Did you see that, Wire? Did you catch it?
No, hold on. She goes back. She says,
It's a second. It's just a second.
She like goes back and plays it and just watches. You see it again. Wire looks just. What am I looking at? What am I looking for?
There's like almost like a shadow.
She looks at it. She goes back yet another time and just sort of like watches very closely. You see it
I
again.
swear it's there, but
And she just looks at it and just says, "I'm not seeing what you're seeing." She says, "Let me run this back one more time." And she goes back. She says, "I'll run it a slower. I'll
slow it
reduce the
down.
speed." And she watches it. It goes through much slower this time. And this time you don't see it. Wire just shakes her head. She says,
It wasn't there that time.
she looks up at you. She says, "That's impossible. I mean, me not being able to see it, that maybe I could explain away, but this is a recording. This doesn't. If you saw something, then it was. It couldn't just go away."
It did.
She shakes her head. She says, "No. There's got to be."
It was.
She says, "There's. Let me look at the metadata." And she just like pulls up like all this like stuff and starts like, Jace basically like takes that section of footage, moves it to the side, and starts like sort of running full like scans on it. You see like all these lines of code that just starts streaming down the screen as she starts looking through it and just looking up.
Are you gonna find data in there that explains how I can just pop into people's dreams?
She says,
Some things don't really make sense.
she shakes her head. She says, "No, but if I don't find it, that tells us something." And she's sort of looking through. And she just goes through and she says, "This is absolutely clean. There is nothing. It doesn't even look like it was scrubbed, wasn't altered at all. I don't."
It's like something altered reality itself.
She shakes her head. She says, "I'm not sure I would go that far." She like pauses for a moment and just like looks up at you and says, You've been sleeping okay?" I mean, look, I'm just saying this is a lot of pressure. We're doing something huge here.
I've been sleeping fine. I probably slept more than anyone in this base.
All right. I'm not going to push you, but I am saying maybe you should go see Abriel.
That's a good idea. Maybe she can run some tests or something.
I mean, look, your brother has proven that he can get he can get to you through mental links or whatever it is.
It wasn't him.
I'm just saying that
It felt like someone was there, like
fine,
watching me.
but
like
I'm just saying he was able to do it. That means that somebody else might be able to also.
That's a fair point. Maybe I have to practice some more shielding or something. Okay, we'll add that one to the list too.
She nods and says, and starts collecting the data pads from the table. She says, "I recognize that I have absolutely no authority to do this, but I am at least recommending that you take the day, go see Abriel. No, things aren't going to fall apart with you being gone for one day."
Just call me if you need me.
I will not.
Abriel, call me if you need me.
Wire.
Or if anybody. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Wire. That's what I meant. Sorry. We just said Abriel. Okay. Well, I guess it does make me feel better that no one was there that we know.
I'll keep going through this and seeing if there's anything that maybe I missed. It's possible.
Thanks for humoring me.
He nods. Sick bay.
Aye.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and leave.
We're gonna cut somewhere else, but before we do
Mhm.
that, does Peach actually go to sick bay?
I think I would go to if Mason hasn't left yet, like if he's still there, I do want to catch Mason before he goes back out. But if he's gone, then I will probably go. Mm, and I'll probably go see Vix, honestly, if Mason isn't there. But
Okay. Um, I'm gonna say that given the time span here, Freeman, you said that Mason was heading back out.
True. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll say that you spend a little bit of time looking for Mason, but eventually you do get confirmation from Ops that Mason and Patch have gone back out.
okay. I'm just gonna send him a message that says, "Can you let me know when you're back? Have something I want to run by you."
All right. So, we are.
Is it past lunchtime right now? Did I miss my lunch date? Is it like afternoon?
Ooh, here. That's a fun thought. It is around lunchtime, but
Because okay,
it is.
it's like a late lunch. Like
Yeah,
it's like
I'm gonna say it's
like
pretty
2,
late. It's pretty
like
late.
2:30.
Yeah. But we are going to.
We're all a bunch of,
Yeah,
I think I said
yeah.
this in the sessions, we're a bunch of real functioning individuals right now.
Yeah. You know what? We'll go ahead and we'll keep going with this. If y'all are good with that, we'll keep going with this. Following Peach on this one. So
'Cause-
yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
then if it's lunchtime, then I'm gonna head towards the atrium very quickly, like a very fast walk.
Yeah. You leave the situation room and like immediately you're like, "Oh, that's when like it hits you
Oh,
like that you're
it's
no
like, oh,
longer involved."
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You rush down to the atrium. The lunch rush is basically over at this point. There's just sort of like a
Mhm.
few sort of like stragglers in the mess hall.
Mhm.
But you sort of stand there like next to where there's a whole bunch of people who are like working on like some of the small amount of soil that they've been able to get in, sort of like setting it in and starting to kind of
Mhm.
spread it, and they're kind of like pouring it into these like large troughs. Um,
Mhm.
and you kind of glance around and you look over just like seeing you do see Ari as she is like grabbing like picking up her stuff and sort of like pulling her like the bag over her shoulder and like grabbing like trays and stuff like that and taking it over to back to the
I'm like literally like walking over there very quickly, like and
Yeah.
it's not like it's like a trying to be subtle, but like not very subtle.
Mhm. Yeah. She looks up and just says, "Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
I know I realized we weren't exactly clear on
no,
the-
I got held up with wire.
That's all right. Uh it's busy. It's a busy time for you. I understand.
I've never not really had a busy time ever. I think since I was born, so
It's it's fine. I understand. I've never exactly been one to be able to stand still for too long myself, so I understand.
well, am I too late? Are you ready for maybe have dessert?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to have to be another time. I have a few things to get to.
That's okay. Yeah, another time is good. I mean, I have to review some stuff for Wire anyway, and yeah, another time's good.
Yes, definitely. We'll and I'll be better about being specific about time next time.
And I'll try not to talk with Wire for 4 hours in a meeting, but it's little unpredictable. I'll see you later. Good luck with wherever you're off to.
Yes. Actually, categorizing the archives. if I can get that damnable AI to cooperate with me. I swear I'm usually not particularly good with technology, but that AI is a little bit. It makes it much more difficult than I think it would normally be. Honestly, I think it knows that and it targets me specifically, but
Do you want me to talk to it? Rough it up a little bit?
if anyone could, I imagine it would be you. But no, I think for today, I will have to brave the mean AI by myself.
Okay. Well, if you ever want someone to go take a look at it, I know Bina would love something else to take a look at. So,
I will keep that in mind. It's just,
okay.
tomorrow maybe
Yeah. Tomorrow.
I'll send you a message.
Awesome. Yeah, good luck with the archive, and just let me know if the AI is unreasonable. Wire fired me for the day, so
Good. You need some time off. I understand that we're building a resistance here, but can't have a resistance if our fearless leader goes down.
you don't have to worry about me.
She nods and says, "I'll see you tomorrow," and heads off back into the base.
Oh, okay. Peach kind of just like watches her go in a way that isn't super subtle, and then immediately looks around to see if there's anyone there that she like kind of knows, because she could like call over and have lunch with.
Unfortunately, not a whole lot of people around.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like the tail end of lunch happening right now. But yeah, you managed to get some pretty decent food and settle in, and
I'm just kind of sitting there like going over probably some like the list that Wire and I have made, and like kind of making some notes and just eating, and yeah.
sounds good. We'll go.
A little sad looking.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and cut to hydroponics.
Yes.
Bina, you're kind of in the process of just sort of
Trying her best.
yeah. Sedona actually like when you got here sort of was rushing out and was like,
Mhm.
I gotta take care of a thing.
It's okay.
There's that. I'll come back and explain it later, and we'll go over it.
I'll take a look at it. See you soon.
Yeah,
She's
and-
like gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bina, you spend your time quite a bit of time in hydroponics.
I will say she does before she goes down to hydroponics, she does take a nap,
Mm.
but like a Bina nap. So like she just has her eyes closed for 15 minutes and then gives up and goes to hydroponics.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyways, no, we don't need to do with that. But yeah, that
Yeah.
happened.
You you definitely find yourself just sort of not alone, because there are other people in hydroponics at the moment sort of working.
It's not a super bustling place
No,
ever. Like it's
not
yeah.
really. It's not big enough for it to be a
Mhm.
bustling place. Plus there's not a whole lot of like there were when all of you came together here, there were around 11 different resistance cells that Wire kind of pulled from across the galaxy, the known galaxy. And unfortunately among them not a whole lot of growers. And so it's been a rough time trying to get anything to grow down here in hydroponics. The facility is not designed for that. It was designed to be sustainable in other ways, but
Mhm.
down here it's so it's kind of it's fully a struggle. Uh,
What was the system she had said at the beginning? There was whatever she had said when we talked this morning that there was a problem with. That's where I'm gonna head first to go
oh,
take put my eyes on.
she said that she had maybe found a solution to like
Oh.
the nutrient infusion into like
Mm.
the like in yeah into kind of like the water. Um, but she said that she might have found a solution, but that yeah, which is what she was referring to, that she would like explain it when she came back. But
I know the watering system has issues in here, so she'll do her diagnostics on that while we're here.
yeah,
Just kind of do her once over of the things that she knows she's been maintaining and has been like holding together by all 4 arms. Like
yeah. You're working for quite some time before after a while you slowly start becoming aware that there's like the change, like a change in the sort of ambient sounds around you, and you sort of look up and you see that there's like a bit more like like, you know how this conversation, it sounds different, like between like functional, like practical working conversation, people
Mhm.
like you know, discussing what's happening and their ideas and whatever, and then like a conversation that's happening like more like personal, like not work
Mhm.
focused, and there's like a
Different
subtle
tone.
difference,
Mhm.
different tone. That's what you're starting to notice, and you look up and you see that one of the uh one of the workers in hydroponics is actually currently talking to Jade, who has like
Oh.
apparently just brought like a whole bunch of like just there. He's got a bunch of like boxes that he's just carted in, and he's like smiling and talking to this person, and you as you look over, he says, "Yeah, no, I it's not a big deal. There was a sort of a slight miscalculation in
Yeah, I'll say Bina just if she when she just listens, she doesn't look over.
yeah,
But yeah, she listens to the
just
conversation.
just a slight miscalculation in the inventory. I found a little bit of extra, and I figured you could use it." And the worker goes, "I'll tell you, you're really saving me on this one." He says, "I wasn't looking forward to putting in that supply request." And he says, "Between you and me, I feel like Wire's a little bit more on edge than she usually is, which is saying a lot." And Jade just sort of like chuckles and shrugs. He says, "Hey, who can really tell? She's got a lot of weight on riding on her right now, so it's understandable." And he says, "But anyway, that's what you've got me for." And the worker just sort of nods and says, "Yeah, no kidding." He says, "You can just set it over there in the corner." I kind of you can see as he like turns and like he like points kind of like in the general direction where you are. He says, "You can just kind of set it over there in the corner." Um, Jade glances over and sees you, and says, "Yeah, okay, sounds good." And he like carts the stuff over, and you can see is he doesn't immediately come to you. He like goes
Yeah.
past you kind of to the corner and starts like offloading some of the boxes, like literally just sort of feet away from you.
Mhm. If he's right next to her offboarding stuff, she'll go to the other side of the cart and help unload, but
Mhm.
she's not gonna like say it like she's not gonna like be like, hey, but just kind of like she'll move over. She's got 4 extra hands. She can
Yeah.
help unload.
Yeah, you kind of just do this in silence for a while, neither one
Mhm.
of you like saying anything, just sort of sitting. You can feel like the build in Jade, like he's
Mhm.
working up to something. You can feel that like anxiety
Mhm.
building as the two of you just sort of work in silence for a while. Um and you
She will
Mhm.
she's been doing her best for a lot to not let people feel her shit because she can't she'd spent a long time controlling it, but it's been 5 months. She's better about everything now. But I think she doesn't, not in an attempt to make him feel anything, but does her like I extend a comforting hand, but like emotionally that feeling like a like it's okay, like whatever's up, it's okay. You don't have to be nervous about it,
Yeah.
even though I'm a problem. I know I'm a
So
problem. The
you
emotional equivalent of that.
yeah, you do that, and you
Her
can actually
brain.
feel the like sudden spike of surprise from him. Um
She doesn't
which
look up.
which interestingly, that's the moment that at first you're a little bit confused, but that's the moment that you realize that you actually haven't done this in a very long time. You haven't
Mhm,
reached out to somebody like this in a very long time.
mhm.
And you hadn't really noticed until this moment having done it. Um
She has like a I think they both have like a brief pause at the same time, but then she keeps moving,
yeah,
putting boxes.
he doesn't.
Mhm.
He just is standing there like watching you. and he just, you can feel that like that same resolve that you felt earlier. It like
Mhm.
solidifies, and he just
And she turns to look at him.
and he's already looking at you. He just says, "Can't keep doing this, Bina. Look, everybody's trying. We're all trying. Nobody's happy about what happened. Nobody. We all wish that she was still here. We're all trying. We're all trying to move on. We're all trying to keep going, but we all want her back. You At first it was fine because it had just happened and we were all dealing with it in our own ways. But you can't just disappear. People need you."
I think Bina's quiet for a significant amount of time, and just kind of nods and then says, I meant what I said. Next time,
He
I'll go to lunch with you next time, if you ask.
he looks over at you and he like takes the last box out of your hands and sets it on the pile, and he grabs the cart and starts walking away and turns back and says, "You don't get to have a monopoly on being heartbroken, Bina." And he turns and just like walks out.
Ooh, that's rough on her. I think she stands there just like with her hands just like up where the box was for a couple of beats, and then she's going to pack up and go back to her quarters.
Um
I knew it was coming and it still hurt.
we'll
Sorry,
cut,
I was just wiping my tears.
we'll cut to evening. Peach, it is almost not quite. You've still got about an hour or so before it's time for the weekly family dinner, as it has been termed, mostly by Jade. He's referred to it as family dinner.
Aww.
But you you have a spare hour or so before anybody's due to show up. Um
Is is Mason back yet?
Probably, yeah.
Well, is he?
I don't know.
I
Up to
don't
you.
know. I don't know if he's gonna be back. I just keep checking because I want to because I noticed that he was tired,
gonna-
and after the
I'm gonna-
dream, I'm like I want to touch
Actually-
base with him.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Freeman?
So
I was gonna say I had thoughts, but I could easily be back for this.
Well, I was-
for
What were you thinking, Freeman? What do you? I'll defer to you on this.
I was thinking that Mason was still out doing the tracing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure how long that was gonna be, but at some point, Mason, I was thinking Mason would just be out there and kind of just stand out there, and just kind of like look at the lights,
oh yeah.
and I wasn't sure if he was gonna be out there all night or not.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll.
It's okay. He doesn't have to be back.
Yeah. No. We'll say Mason's not back yet. Mason, you standing out there looking out. You do get at some point while you're out there, you do get like the little ping, that reminder of like family dinner. That's yeah. But yeah, you kind of just standing out, in the snow fields, just sort of looking out. Yeah. So Peach.
I want to go find Vix. Is he in the labs or is he back in his room?
A safe bet is his room.
Okay.
So yeah, you make your way over towards the south wing, towards the living quarters. Walking through the halls, you draw up level to his room, where even this long afterwards, uh, there is still someone assigned to sort of no
Mhm.
longer standing immediately outside of his door.
They like kind of like nearby. It's
Yeah,
like
the-
it's not that subtle. It's like
Yeah.
a couple doors down.
You've probably joked at various points that like every month or so they get further away from his door.
Mhm.
But yeah, you nod to the security person and walk up to the door.
Evening.
It just gives you a nod and continues sort of scanning the corridor. Um,
Yeah, just gonna knock on the door.
you don't hear an answer, but you do hear like hear like the actually the door does just open. It just
Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna kind of go in. What does his room look like?
His room is very simple. It is much like all of the other rooms. There is sort of a single room that has sort of just a bed and like a small couch, a low table by that couch, sort of a set of like dressers, and sort of like a closet, and then like a second like a door that leads into a second room, like the bathroom. Um, when you step into the room, Vix is your brother is currently sitting on his bed,
Mhm.
upright, cross-legged on his bed, sort of hunched over with a book open on his lap. Um, he's barefoot, and sort of his hair is kind of bit of a tangle at the moment. It's gotten longer in the last few months, and he hasn't done much. It's now down like down to his shoulders. As he's just sort of like reading the book. He glances up at you, says, "1 second."
Yeah.
And he just sort of
Interrupting something.
says, and he finishes, and then like puts the bookmark back into the book and reaches over and sets it on the bedside table. And then kind of swings his legs down over the side of the bed. Says, "Didn't think you were coming by today."
I can't just stop by unannounced.
"Oh no, that's fine. He frowns and he says, "Oh wait, tonight's the dinner thing, right?"
Yeah. I was gonna lead up to it, but don't suppose I could convince you to come this time.
He shrugs. He says, "I don't know. Not after last time.
That was almost a month ago. I mean, you've been here a little bit longer, and I know sometimes you exchange pleasant glances with Bina, and she might even be there.
He shakes his head and
There
says,
is no evidence to support that.
I know it's not a truth. It's just hoping to get him to come.
"Yeah." He just shakes his head. He says, "It's fine." He says, I understand that I understand them being uncomfortable with me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not exactly comfortable around them either. I get it.
It's just gonna take some time. But I think that they'll get there. And I think you'll get there.
Feels a bit like being back home, actually, to be honest.
What, me begging you to come to dinner?
I mean that, and you know, the looks that I get, like at any moment I might burst into flame or something.
I thought we're a long way from home.
That is true.
Mm. Honestly, the dinner was one reason I came here, but another reason, you didn't happen to peek into my dream last night, did you? It's okay if you did. You can be honest with me. I'll only be a little mad.
He shakes his head. He says, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't like being in my own dreams, let alone anybody else's.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't think so. I just had to check it off.
Why? Did something happen?
I think Wire thinks I'm seeing things, but I'm pretty sure someone was standing over my bed last night.
He's standing up now, and he crosses the room and is now like looking like into your
So-
eyes and just sort of looking. Says, and wait, what happened? Did you see something? Did you?
So, are you aware of any other people that could spy on us from remote locations? I've done it once.
I mean, I don't know of any myself, but none of us knew of each other. We knew that others existed and others were, but we didn't work together.
Okay.
We didn't.
Yeah.
Do you think it's them?
I don't know if it was just a bit of the dream that escaped. I don't know if it was someone peeking in. I don't think it was someone peeking in, because if it was, that means they know our location. And if they knew our location, then I think someone would have been here by now.
He sort of starts like glancing around the room, not very clearly not seeing it. He's just sort of like looking, like his head, like not clearly not like focusing on anything, just sort of looking
Mhm.
around the room, and then starts kind of pacing.
Yeah.
And as he does, you can see that he's sort of like clenching and unclenching, just sort of like fingers
Mhm.
sort of as he goes.
Hey. Yeah. What does he say anything?
No, he's just sort of going back and forth, like very just sort of around the room. You're familiar enough with this already. Like this is him trying to get sort of like panic under control.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he just sort of stops at one point in the room, just sort of like stops with his back to you. It just sort of. And he, after a minute or two, he like turns back around, and then just sort of slowly lowers himself down onto the bed. Says, he just nods. Okay.
It's nothing to worry about. I'm sure even if it is a problem, I'll get it under control.
Right. It could be your powers manifesting in some new way. They're always growing and changing.
Yeah.
He just sort of looks at you and just says, sorry. I know this has been kind of
What are you apologizing for?
for always being in this position.
What's family for?
I believe it's supposed to be it's at some point supposed to be reciprocated.
You give me plenty just by being here. Do you know how worried I was?
Yeah.
You know how much peace I have knowing that you're here?
This whole thing is fucked.
Yeah, but I mean, nothing new. Nothing really new with our
It
family.
almost makes me miss Mom.
Yeah, kind of makes me miss the nights where I'd stumble into the night and find you at some girl's house.
He just shakes his head. He says, "God, remember that time that you found me at what was her name? The friend of yours that you went to academy with.
I think her name was Amelia.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Remember that? I remember just how when
And you didn't recognize me, and I had to keep I had to keep telling you who I was,
And
and
then-
sometimes I would just tell you my name with something completely different.
And then when I finally recognized you, I tried to cross the room to you, and I just kept falling and laughing. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really long time ago.
I remember that night after you finally got me out of there. We just went to the park, and we just sat there, and you just kind of you rubbed my back and told me about all of the the bills and motions that were being passed that day. I didn't understand a word of it, but
Sure, it lulled you right to sleep.
it was just good to know that you were there.
Hmm.
It still is.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm gonna make it to dinner, but maybe after everybody leaves, I'll stop by and have leftovers.
Yeah. And if you ever do want me to pop into your dreams, I'm happy to give you a good memory.
Could use them.
Couch is always free.
Yeah. Maybe I'll maybe I'll stay tonight.
Good. I have been told to turn in early, so can't have a super late sleepover, but maybe we'll go to bed at a reasonable hour.
Don't worry, I'll keep you honest.
Okay, good. Need it. And I'm gonna. Does he have like like any kind of music player in here or
Yeah,
anything?
probably.
Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Almost certainly.
Oh, sorry. What was he gonna? I was just before to leave. I just wanted to go over and like turn on some music so he's not sitting in like total silence.
Yeah.
And
He like in the process of reopening the book, he just looks at you and just goes, "Really?"
doesn't it get a little eerie in here? When's the last time you've heard music? Do you want me to put in that old one? And I'm gonna go ahead, and it can only last for a minute, but I'm gonna pull out like a little, or I'm gonna basically dreamcraft like a tape to put in. What's the like current? I was thinking like a tape, but that's probably not the way it works in the future.
No, it's probably all mostly digital.
Okay, well,
A
I'm
little
gonna
like
a tiny little like
a
memory
stick-
card
memory
size
stick,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like stick it in there. And I'm gonna have it play like an old rock song that he would have liked
Yeah. He just
that he hadn't heard in forever.
Yeah, he looks up at you and he says, "Oh, you're kidding." And he just
It wouldn't hurt you to clean up the place a little bit and turn the music up a little bit louder and
wow, okay. Wow. Oh, you really do take after mom. And he just like he just
oh, don't get me with that one. Don't.
he grabs a pillow and just sort of throws it at you. He says, "Go. You're going to be late."
God. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start like walking out before I leave. I'm just gonna turn back in and just say, "I'm expecting you later. If you don't show up, I'm gonna send someone after you."
He says, "Good to know. I'll keep that in mind."
Yeah, there's someone just down the hall. He's gotten a little bit farther. I've told him to take a step back, but I think it might take another week.
He kind of like cranes his neck and looks out and just sort of waves at the guard, who just sort of looks and just nods and continues scanning.
Hey, and Vix,
Hmm.
you're no trouble. You know that. I'm happy to have you here.
Thanks.
I'll save you some dessert.
He says, "You better."
And I'm gonna go head to dinner, probably like right on time.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and then in sort of a like kind of final scene for the night. I'll say by this point everybody's back. Mason is back to base. As per usual, you have sort of your weekly with everything that has been happening with building the resistance and making sure like all the logistics are in place and everybody kind of running in their own direction, pretty early on y'all sort of established this weekly tradition that at least one night a week you would all come be together again. Um, Bina has been to a very, very few number of them.
She comes, she doesn't stay.
Yeah.
She comes in like will like pick up a plate and like linger in the doorway and then leave. She can't do it. But that has been more maybe within the last 2 months and very sparingly.
Yeah.
But up until that point, she has not attended.
Yeah. The longest probably that Bina attended was probably also the first time that Vix came, and it was extremely uncomfortable for everybody. Both of them.
Can we
yeah.
tell? I think that we talked about it
Yeah.
in the session 0 where Vix was so uncomfortable. It was the first time Bina tried to show up but left immediately because the emotion was too strong.
Yeah. In particular, Vix being very uncomfortable as Mason just was like very rather I don't know, Freeman, would you say overtly hostile would be a good way of
There were
putting
too
it?
many
Yeah,
emotions at the table.
It's very confusing. It's definitely hostile, and there's other emotions kind of in there as well.
Yeah.
It's just that Mason's very stretched and tired. That was his,
That would have been like a few
Hostiles that-
weeks ago, I think, like
Yeah.
maybe like a month or two ago.
definitely
Yeah.
definitely was hostile. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, but otherwise they've been pretty smooth. It's been a good time to sort of catch up with everybody. This particular evening, Abriel actually wasn't able to make it. She sort of called in and said that that she was sort of short staffed tonight and wasn't going to be able to make it. But the rest of the crew is present. Mason is here. Bina at this point, Bina is not there. Jade and Patch are sort of sitting in like at the on one of the couches in this sitting area, just sort of playing cards. Jade is attempting to. This has been like a continuing pattern. Like each week, Jade teaches Patch a new game, and like they going back and forth, and Sedona just sort of like watching the whole thing. And like giggling whenever Patch clearly is intentionally misunderstanding the game, and Jade not picking up on it, just like not picking up on the fact that he's being fucked with, and Sedona just like
Aw.
giggling at the whole thing, and Zaya, who's basically like she does her best to like she does her best to do like the whole helpful guest sort of thing, but she gets in the way more than anything, like
Mhm.
but yeah, all in all, it feels almost like being back on Awakener.
Question:
Mhm.
Does Bina still get invite pings to family dinner?
I imagine that's absolutely the case. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then, about half to 3/4 of the way through the allotted time for dinner, Bina shows up.
Mhm.
She does not make eye contact with anyone. She does not speak with anyone. She fills up a plate and she sits down at the table. She does not engage with anyone, but she shows up
Mhm.
and stays
Being like
Mason
yeah, go ahead.
looks
for the
up.
remainder of dinner.
Mason would look up at that point, kind of chopsticks in hand, like slurping noodles,
Purple noodles.
purple noodles, looking at Bina and kind of just like, if they make eye contact, maybe they do or not.
Mm.
Kind of just like a good, like a like
Yeah, like a reassurance.
yeah.
I think Bina's kind of like, yeah, okay, like not outwardly, but like a, okay, yeah, all right, like internal.
Reassuring nod, and kind of just gets back
Yeah.
to his own business.
They're like this is kind of the scene that I imagine is like everybody's sort of like talking at like over each other and with each other at
Yep.
dinner, and the door
Mhm.
opens and Bina steps in, and everybody's just like quiet, and then just like Bina steps in,
Like, hey, Bina.
and just sort of sits down, and then there's that like kind of like nod exchange, and Jade and Sedona sort of like look at each other, and Sedona smiles at him. He shrugs, and then conversation just sort of like Zaya just sort of goes, so who's getting who's I heard somebody was getting a new pet cloud bell. And
I.
Like,
Go ahead.
like,
Yeah.
just just what she has like the cup in her hand like crinkles.
Speaking of cloud bells, there are little flying insects down in some sector. I forget.
Sedona sits forward. She's like, "Wait, really?" She's like, "Maybe they came in with some of the supplies. Interesting."
Yeah, it looked kind of like a fly of some sort.
Huh. I'm gonna have to go look into that.
Please.
Interesting. And then like just conversation just like picks back up after that. At a certain point, like
Is Wire there?
Wire is not there.
No way.
True to form.
Yeah.
I feel like every single time before family dinner, like a good 10 minutes before and like 10 minutes into it, like Peach sends Wire a reminder message of like dinner's ready.
It's about
Like
50-50
about to
when
start.
it's about 50-50
Okay.
for Wire showing up to these things.
Yeah.
Wire
but-
That's what
shows
I
up more than
figured.
Bina does.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's so depressing. Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah. So, as like basically as the evening goes on, y'all are like conversing, whatever. Eventually, you kind of move away from the table and sort of split off into your own little like spaces. At one point, Sedona leaves, saying that she'll be back. She's got to go get something. And Bina, you would notice that like Jade just sort of like goes over to the window, and is just sort of like, this window, like I didn't like really fully describe it before, but like the window in Peach's apartment is in like kind of the main area, is just like the window in the atrium is like floor to ceiling. Like honestly, it's probably part of like kind of like the same like
Mhm.
structure, like the same like window structure basically that just sort of like goes down the whole building. But yeah, it's like it's floor to ceiling in the apartment as well, and you can see that Jade is sort of standing in front of it, just sort of looking out. And this particular evening, you can actually see that the like at this point in time, the nebula is, you can see it well off, like in kind of just over like the horizon, like at the end of the like kind of the snowfields. And you can see Jade is just sort of standing there like watching it.
I think after a little bit of time, she would go and stand next to him
Mhm.
with like space in between. Like she's not like probably pre all of this shit. It would have been like like an arm grab or whatever, but
Mhm.
like with a few inches of space. But she'll all four arms are kind of crossed, and she'll go stand next and look out.
Mhm.
Look out the window. And it's still dark. We're not in 24-hour darkness right now, are
No.
we? We're halfway somewhere in there.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're not quite to the winter months yet, but
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, you stand there for a moment in silence. He kind of glances over at you and just, I'm sorry I snapped at you.
No. You're right. I've been trying, but it clearly hasn't been enough. And I'm sorry.
He just sort of looks
I
at you.
didn't realize it had gotten that bad. That's how you felt.
He nods and he
I
kind of,
haven't been doing a lot of feeling lately.
he looks over his shoulder kind of at the rest of the room where everybody's sort of often like pairs or trios just sort of conversing. As you kind of follow his gaze, you can see that like Zaya just sort of like throws her head back and just like laughs at something that Patch said. And Jade turns back to you and he just says, We all felt like it. Nobody really talks about it, but I mean, with Olam gone out, bringing people into the resistance, and you just gone. It's just I know we're doing important things, and I kind of just miss how things used to be sometimes.
Me too. I know that everyone felt it, because I felt everyone feel it. And I was feeling it, and I was feeling everyone feel it, and at some point it was more than I could handle, which has never happened to me before. I didn't mean to leave you. I'm trying to get back on my feelers, I guess.
He nods and he just says, I want to help you. We all do. We want to help each other. We have to help each other.
Okay.
And he kind of just reaches out kind of towards your hand.
She grabs him with two hands, and then after a second, just like curls him into a big hug.
At this point, at this moment, you hear the comm crackle, and you hear Wire's voice and says, "Hey guys, anybody anybody standing next to a window? Because you might want to see this."
We pull apart and look up.
Yeah, as everybody kind of clusters
Oh,
around
I
the window.
really hope it's what I think it is.
You all glance up, just in time to see several just large streaks of light, probably 7 or 8 of them, just sort of streaking past across the night sky towards the nebula, just sort of leaving a massive trail in their wake. And Jade just sort of like grabs your shoulder, Bina, and just like shakes you. He says, "It's a whole pod of Duraga." He says, that's
I
wow.
don't think I've seen them yet.
Wow. And this moment, as you all kind of stand there watching these massive space creatures just sort of streak across the sky, standing there, silhouetted against the night sky, that's where we're going to come to tonight's end.
Woo!
That was a heck of a session.
How we feel? Bina made me cry twice.
I had a lot of feelings tonight.
I knew this was coming to it. I'm so emotional.
Oh,
Welcome back,
Wow.
everybody.
Welcome back to
Good
Infinite
evening.
Horizon,
Good evening.
everybody. Holy shit.
Infinite Horizon.
Whew.
God.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Oh man.
We got to see the Duragas.
I
We
know.
got to see a whole pot of Duragas.
Thank
Oh.
God.
So I think it's appropriate at this moment to thank our patrons.
Thank you, patrons.
Because the patrons
Thank
not
you.
only did they design the Duraga, the enormous spaceborne creatures that we saw streaking across the sky at the end of the episode there, but they also designed the entirety of the base. The whole thing.
Yes!
Wow.
Was
Yes!
just,
Yeah, and it's so
Amazing.
cool. We haven't seen everything yet. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have a picture. I drew a picture of what the base kind of looks like. I couldn't get my camera to focus, but that's kind of the shape of it.
Yeah. The wings
the
are a
two
little
wings.
are a little like not smaller but flatter than that. But
Flatter,
yeah.
not as tall. And then the central base with like the big windows.
Yeah.
And it's all on a big snowy rocky ice planet. So
Yeah.
put it in your brains. Now you know what it looks like.
All right. Well, so yeah, just big thank you to our world builders because there's a lot of good stuff and the base is we've built up a backlog of things that we've like created in the patron writers room, and a lot of it has yet to be featured on stream. But the base
We got so much stuff, like
we
so
got
much.
so
Today's
much.
episode was writers' room stuff. So it finally got like we
Oh,
were just
yeah.
waiting until a point, so it just overflowed, and now all of it's showing up at once.
Yeah. So yes, hope you enjoyed tonight's
Thanks so
game.
much for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate some of the announcements that we had at the top, we have Ramblemancy this week on Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be talking about Halloween. We're going to be talking about our favorite Halloween stories, times from our youth where we dressed in youths. Sorry. We dressed in
Youths.
we dressed in our favorite costumes, favorite Halloween parties, all that kind of stuff. Talking about that's the significance of that for us, and it's going to be a lot of fun. On earlier that same day, I will be on Friends Who Roll Dice, as sort of concluding their month-long charity event. They had a bunch of one-shots every Friday. I will be playing Monster of the Week. It will be very fun.
It's gonna be so fun.
I'm so excited. It's gonna be great. Yeah. And so yeah, everybody, if you guys are doing stuff, Caitlin, I know you've got like a bunch of stuff. So you feel free to talk about things that you were doing now.
I have things. I'm gonna talk about past things. I'm really just very happy about it. But our Tales from the Loop show has concluded. But all of it exists on YouTube. So if you missed it, you can check all of that out. I'm just excited that it happened. Like I can't believe that we did it and now it's done and now the whole thing exists. Anyways, check it out. It's on YouTube. It's fun. I'm pumped about that it exists. And then on Sunday nights on Q Times, I am over there playing Benny Beckett on Power Play, which is their superhero show. Very, very comic booky. So I get to play lots of superpowered individuals throughout my week. If you would like to see someone who is not quite as sensitive as one Bina Ova, you can check me out over there. Otherwise, I'm here. You can find me playing the 4-armed Bina Ova on this very show. And that's what I got going on.
Anybody else have fun stuff that they want to talk about? They have going on?
Oh, donate to Philly bail bond or bail fund.
Ooh,
That's all I
also,
got.
if you are living in the United States and are able to participate in the voting process, please do so. Please
Go vote.
Go
Have we all
vote.
voted here? I voted
I
already.
did.
I voted a couple
Everybody's
weeks ago.
voted. We're all 4 out of 4.
I'm sure people have heard it a bunch of times now at this point, but in case you haven't, it is officially too late to mail your ballots. Even if you've been told that you can still don't do it.
Yeah.
Just in person. Early voting is a thing. Drop your ballot off at a box. Find official boxes because there's been some weird shit with that. So make sure you find an official box near you, drop it off in person, or go vote early so that you don't have to stand. I mean, lines are still happening, but hopefully it won't be as bad as day of. So
Yeah.
do your best, but don't mail at this point. It's too late to mail.
Yeah. I will say that I sort of tongue in cheek at the end of Ramblemancy last time, but it is also kind of true. A great way to support your favorite streamers is to vote because net neutrality is on the line always. So
Yep.
just saying that is a thing that is important. It's not the priority for sure, but listen.
Something, anything
On-
that'll
on
get
the-
you to
anything
vote.
that'll
I
get
mean,
you there,
yeah.
Yeah, that would be a weird issue to be the deciding factor, but if
Yeah.
it is,
Listen, if it is, I'm glad you're going. I'm glad something motivated you to go. All right, everybody. I would say I'll say right now, if you enjoyed what you saw here, please do consider joining the Discord. We have all kinds of fun discussions there. We
Yell
it's
at
sort of-
us for
yeah,
what happened today.
Yell at us for what happened today. There is a
Absolutely.
channel specifically for discussing this and this show. It's also the best place to get any of our.
Go in
like,
there and cry.
You can, yeah. I'll go in there.
I
and
might be
cry.
in there crying later.
I'll probably be.
I'll send my
crying.
favorite GIF that I sent to them during session 0 in regards to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
put it in the
Yeah.
Discord.
You can go in
And
there.
if,
And, yeah, go ahead. Finn.
if you want, there's nothing to do with that. But if you want a new cup to enjoy a beverage, or maybe the most comfortable shirt ever, check out our merch
Yay!
store
We have a merch
down
store.
below.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It really
Our
is a comfortable
beautiful
shirt.
it's super.
faces.
It's very soft. Yeah.
I
It
washed
has-
mine with a
it's super
sticker on it.
soft.
Oh,
It's got sticker glue
It has
on
the
mine.
logo on the side.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not
So-
on this
Oh,
one,
speaking
just
of
on the other
stickers,
one.
we actually
Usually
just
with-
added a sticker into
We
the
did.
store.
It sadly wasn't the
What?
Infinite Horizon sticker that I washed on my Infinite
Ah, well,
Horizon shirt.
yeah.
but
No, we have an Infinite Horizon sticker now.
Good to know.
Yeah.
that size, it's good.
That's
It's very
awesome.
cute.
Didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Good
It's
to
what's on
know.
the shirt. It's perfect. It's great.
Yeah.
Check it out.
All right. We're gonna go, I think. So, everybody, thank you so
Good night,
much
everybody.
for coming and joining us for tonight's episode.
Thanks for crying with us.
Thanks for crying
Thanks to
with
everyone
us.
who promoted the season
Yeah.
2 and the recap. Y'all
Yeah.
are so cute.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you so much, everybody. So hopefully we will see you Friday for Ramblemancy. But if not, we will see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good
night.
zone, everybody.